Check, check. Hi, you're with Scott. I'm Ganja Kid. It's midnight. It's always midnight. This is your right ear and your left ear. Sumono. I can do it. I can do it. I can make it go right ear and left ear. I can make it go right ear and left ear. Look. I can make it go, this is your right. Reach all the way over to this ear. Oh, reach all the way over. That's your left ear there. Oh, and then you're back in the middle. 3, 2, 1, you're back in the room. And then I'll check that on a sound checker when you're back in the room. And then I'll check that on a sound checker. That sounds all right. Hi, you're with Scott. Ganja Kid. It's working. It's working. What we're doing today is we're doing Tartary and Antiquity. What do you mean we're doing Tartary and Antiquity? And why haven't you got your chat popped out, you naughty? All right, I'll pop out the chat then. All right, calm down. I'll pop out the chat. Don't you worry about that. I've got some things to show you as well. Ooh, I've got some things to show you. Right, so I popped out the chat and I thought it was all ready and set, but I haven't popped out the chat. And now here's the chat. If you want to chat, you can chat. And then there's the chat. Boom, got the chat. Right. Let me show you something. Check this out. As long as it works, I mean, it should work. Check this out. 1, 2, buckle my shoe. 3, 4, knock on the door. 5, 6, pick up sticks. 7, 8, don't be late. Look, what's happening? What's that? It's a close-up, extreme close-up. And I'm not even pressing the mouse. Look, hang on. Here's the mouse. Here's the mouse. How's he done that? How's he done that? It's like magic. It's like magic. What about this? Oh, where's that gone? Oh, it's back. I don't have to fiddle around in OBS anymore. I've set up the Stream Deck to do some simple basic things. Turn on and off certain programs as we're using them and not switch between close-up and wide angle. It's good, isn't it? Simple little thing, but that's a big step forward. Basically because people support the stream. Actually, that was a Christmas gift from my sister, so I should say thank you. And but it's all steps forward, making the stream better. Quick public service announcement before we get on. Today what we're doing is Tartary Antiquity. They've got it's like the worst Twitter page I've ever seen. It's like the worst Twitter page I've ever seen. So we're going to have a good look through this. Oh, God. And having a good look through the worst Twitter page I've ever seen. We are public, aren't we? Let me just check that. How would I check that? I'd check my own channel here and probably just reload that and have a look to see that we're going live. Yes, we're live. Okay. All good in the hood. I should maybe not have tagged it Tartaria Mudflood Reset because maybe that'll mean YouTube won't suggest it to anyone. It is, I wanted to say Mental Health Monday. It's not though. It's Bank Holiday Monday in the UK. That means everyone else out doing whatever. There's no guarantees. No guarantees on a Bank Holiday Monday. Listening to the calm and relaxing music of course, Genshin Impact in the background. And I'm going to crack on. What we're doing today, I'll check this out as well though. I want to see if my button works. So this is my Twitter. If you want to tweet me, at Informal Films. From a different life, when I used to be a media producer with, like, you know, a camera going around filming things. At Informal Films. And I can tweet just by pressing this button. Well, have I tweeted? I don't know. I'm supposed to have done. Press the button. It's automated. There you go. Look, yes. Live on YouTube stream now. There you go. Look. I like that. I like my own tweet. You shouldn't like your own tweet, really, should you? But I don't know. Is there a rule? Anyway, look. There we go. I've got the button. It's pressed it. So even that's working. I'm pleased. I'm pleased. So why are we talking Tartary and Antiquity again? Tartary Antiquity. We're talking Tartary. We always talk Tartaria a little bit, don't we? On our channel, we're a bit of a revolving content channel. We've got a lot of Genshin Impact been going on recently because there's been big stuff happening in Genshin. I've been playing a lot of it. But we've got a revolving carousel of content here. A revolving carousel of content. So we're on Tartary today. And I wanted to start by sort of saying, and I'm already 4 minutes 20 in. Damn it. I should have started right away with this. Have you ever had one of those dreams where, in fact, I should have just started right away with this. I'm such an idiot. Right away with this. Next time I'll do it. Have you ever had one of the, today I was going to do NASA launching their rocket, but it went wrong. Anyway, have you ever had one of those dreams where you like open a door and then there's another door and then you're in a corridor and you need to escape or get to a certain place, and you round the corridor and you're at another place, and you just feel if you can just get beyond that to the next place and just one more door and one more thing, and you feel this sort of anxiety about it, and every door you take leads you to another door and you don't really feel like you're getting in. That's Tartaria. That's the Tartaria rabbit hole conspiracy. That's that. And I'll be straight off. I mean, I'm not saying it's about this particular account on Twitter. I'm not saying what I'm about to say about this particular account, but a lot of people in the world of Tartarian antiquity and all this shit and all these rabbit hole conspiracy theories, a lot of them are there to sort of blind you and confuse you with confusing things, so that you get a bit confused, start going down a bit of a rabbit hole, and when you're down a bit of a rabbit hole and a bit confused, then you're easier to lead. And people that make a bit of a buck, maybe they've got a Patreon, like this one has. Maybe they're asking for PayPal donations, like this one is. Maybe they've even written a book, or, started up a conference or something. Anywhere where you have to pay money to them. And simple things like watching their YouTube videos creates a bit of a, feed through, doesn't it? Anywhere where they're getting money out of it, it's turned into a bit of a profit incentive for them. And what's best to make money off people in this world? Confused people. They're the best people. Confused people. People who think they know better than other people are even better than that. People who think they know better. People who aren't really sure but think they know better. There's your cash cow right there. So I've argued on previous episodes about other content creators that they're really just trying to prey on people who are easily confused. And also, this is one of these Nigerian prince scams, because the Nigerian prince scam. A Nigerian prince wants to give you £1 million. If they just have your bank details, they'll give it to you. Oh, I'll give you my bank details. No, I'm not an idiot. No Nigerian prince wants to give me £1 million. Well, the only people that fall for that are real idiots, aren't they? You've got to be a real idiot to think the Nigerian prince is contacting you to give you £1 million. That's the ones you want. If you're a scammer, you don't want some smart person who's going to see through your scam, and halfway down the road while you're talking to them on the phone for 3 hours, eventually they turn around and say, no, this is a scam. I don't want anything to do with it. Bye-bye. They're not the people you want. The people you want are the ones that are a bit easier to confuse. They're a bit easier to lead. They're the ones you want. So you do something publicly that's quite silly. Nigerian prince scam. No one's going to believe that. But of course, some people do, and those are the ones it's like an idiot filter. You've filtered out all the people that are no use to you, the smart people. You're only left with the idiots. It's like an idiot filter. Sometimes this can be a bit like that. Some of the things are like blatantly, obviously silly. And other times it's like a sticky trap for people who are interested and pseudo-intellectual, maybe intellectual, and flights of fantasy, late nights, interesting thoughts, maybe somewhere here and there, maybe pre-Egypt there was a civilization that did some machining of stone. Maybe we don't know. It doesn't prove all of this other shit. So maybe in there, if you throw enough fucking darts at a dartboard, 1 or 2 of them will hit the dartboard. Maybe in there's some nuggets or kernels of truth. But the majority of it, from what I can see, is a load of shit. And I'll give you the basic rundown of the full concept. The full concept is Tartari. Why are we talking Tartari? I mean, most people who are going to come here and watch this are going to already know, but I'll give you a quick basic rundown of the concept for anyone who's new. Tartary was what we in Europe used to call the whole of Russia and Siberia and all of that area, and I don't know. We didn't really know. It's way back in the day. Tartaria, there's a Tartar Empire out there. And so it was a real place. But the conspiracy theory, the Great Reset, is that, and it goes as complicated as this, is that there's 700 years of history missing, gone, vanished. It's made up, it's bullshit. What do you mean? Well, Jesus came back, he stayed on earth for 1,000 years, and the world was going well, and they were building all this stuff, and then Jesus went back to heaven, and the devil came down, and he convinced you all that history's a lie. Like, he lied about history and what it is, flooded the world with mud or some shit. Or maybe some of them don't believe that devil and Jesus aspect, they just believe the mud flood bit. But basically, all of this civilization that we're in now was all covered by mud, was all like covered up, and then there was a reset, and we had to come, the new people, us, had to dig out all of the old buildings, sorry, not the new buildings, the old buildings from the mud, and discover or rediscover the whole world. And then we were like, oh, what's all this stuff in America, all these buildings, oh, we could live here, this would be nice. And like, that's the idea. It's a silly idea. And what they do is they look at old photographs and things, and they say, oh, I don't understand this, you don't understand it, what do you think of that? It could proves it. And some people who don't have a wide world knowledge, like most of us don't have a wide world knowledge, not in the way we would need to understand all of history. Some of us who aren't that, versed in international architecture can be sucked in a little bit maybe. And that's the idea. That's what we're doing here. Tartarian antiquity is just the new conspiracy theory, because if you look at this, if you do Google Trends, check this out. Google Trends, if you do flat earth, which was like popping off a few years ago, flat earth, oh look, it's slightly trending up. Oh, that's interesting, isn't it? 12 months. Yeah, what about past 2004 to present? Oh, nothing, not really a thing. And then boom, explosive growth. Explosive growth in 2016, 2017, 2018. And then obviously we've had a pandemic and other things have taken up. Like the flat earth conspiracies tailed off. Now some of them have told me, hello historian, grabbing for the door handle and never getting there is your dream. We'll talk about all these different history bits in a minute. I'll just give a quick overview, but today I'm going a bit freeform historian, so I'm just gonna, in fact I'll move your chat where you can be more seen over here. I'm just going a bit freeform, so no plan here. I'm just sort of like winging it with what we've got, just having a look. So I'm giving the overview again. Yeah, look, flat earth tailed off. Some people have told me that's because you're not allowed to talk about flat earth on Google. Ah, that's why it's tailed off. It might be that, or it might be that the public interest in that has tailed off because it was on the news for a bit and people were talking about it for a bit, and then it all got debunked and rubbished. So if that's tailing off, what if we compare it to something like Tartaria? Sorry, my caps lock. Fucking hate this keyboard. Tartaria. I mean, I like it. It's a good keyboard, isn't it? But the keys are the standard size, and my hands are bigger than the standard size, so it's an issue. Actually, Tartaria is underneath flat Earth. It's not even growing that much now. It was growing though. If I'd been off flat Earth, does it look like it's growing? Can I bin that off? What's the other one with Tartaria? Reset, isn't it? Reset's on the way up, look. Tartaria's going up. Sorry, you can't see behind me. Oh, you can't even see there because of the green screen technology. If we change it then to past 12 months, so a year, it's very up and down. Past 5 years. It's weird, isn't it? The other day when I did it, it was going up. Oh, mud flood it might have been. Not really. Past 5 years. I'm surprised by that, actually. Because last time I looked at this, it looked like it was on a steady increase. My point was that if flat Earth is going down the bin, we need a new conspiracy trend. And it needs to be something that if you post it on Google or YouTube or whatever, that it doesn't get binned off straight away. Something a bit vague, a bit mysterious, and something that can come out from so many different angles. Like this, what I said at the start. Hello, King Snow Gergelson. I said at the start, you got this dream where you're opening a door and you open another door and then there's another door behind it and you're in the corridor and you go to the next corridor and then you're out at the beach and then you need to get from there to your house. You always go, it's one of these where there's endless doors and corridors. It's one of these. That's my feelings on it. I think it's led to confuse. I think there are some confusions and it's led to, and so this is where we get to Tartarian Antiquity, my least favourite Twitter page of the last 5 minutes. A full circus. I'll be the ringmaster. Roll up, get your tickets. We're not having any animals in our circus because that's terrible animal abuse, so bring your kids, we'll fire them out of cannons. Right, this is the cup of so we'll go through, what we're going to do today is we're going to go through their Tartaria and Antiquity page. I'm just going to pick out a few bits and pieces as we go. I'm going to, like, they post every sort of 15 minutes, and they're looking for PayPal donation and Patreon donation. So it's a financial thing for them. The more interest they can get on this Twitter, the more potential they've got for financial remuneration. I think that's the deal here. Or maybe they're just, like, you know, really deeply committed to helping people. This is the cup of Lycurgus, which was made in Rome or possibly in Alexandria itself about 1,600 years ago, and it's capable of changing colour. If the artefact is illuminated by daylight from the front, it's a greenish hue. If illuminated behind, it turns red. The archaeologist dating is based solely on the fact the first people to excel in glass were the Romans. There's no further evidence it was created in the 4th century AD. The composition of 1 million particles of glass by unknown creators were added 330 nanoparticles of silver and only 40 gold. At the same time, these particles was only 50 nanometers, thanks to this change of colour at different angles of illumination. So it's all a bit confusing. It's a picture with no verification of anything. So I've now got to go and do my own research. I say research. Research is a big word, isn't it? Like, looking on Google is kind of research these days, but it's not really research, because the traditional sense of research, like, there's a lot of people who make these videos who will say, oh, I'm a researcher, I'm doing research, I'm researching this. The systematic investigation into and study of materials and sources in order to establish facts and reach new conclusions. So it's a systematic investigation. So at the moment, what I'm doing on YouTube, hi Rudy and the dogs, it's made from alabaster, that changes colours. I don't know, we're going to have a look, aren't we? The systematic investigation, though, is the problem. I'm not conducting a systematic investigation. I've not got any sort of background, or, you know, Uncontrolled Historian might be able to qualify what we're saying here. I've not got any background in history. I don't know the system of study of it. So for me, the layperson who didn't go to university and get a degree in history, like, there are some things that I don't know. And I don't know that I don't know them. There are knowns, there are unknowns, and then there are unknown unknowns. There are knowns, there are unknowns. This was Roosevelt, was it? Or who said this? Donald Rumsfeld, sorry. He's much more modern than Roosevelt. Donald Rumsfeld, but you can see why I get their names mixed up, because I'm not American and they sound similar. So he said there are knowns, there are known knowns, there are things that we know, and there are things that we know that we don't know. Right? The things that we know that we don't know are of interest to us, but it's the things that we don't know we don't know. Does that make sense? Unknown unknowns. Like, this talks about project management and strategic planning. Unknown unknowns are risks that come from situations that are so unexpected they wouldn't be considered. So, like, we might not know what would happen if my house set on fire, but it's a known thing that we don't know what. We actually do know what would happen, don't we? We've got tests and we've done science on the bricks, but there are some things we don't even know we don't know, and that's the dangerous thing, right? That's the dangerous thing, because me entering this as a complete layperson, how do I know what I should know about glass in order to make the determination what is glass and what's alabaster? How do I know what tests are being done or not done? And, like, I don't know, and I don't even know what I don't know. So me as a layperson, I've got ideas and feelings, but I certainly don't have any deep background knowledge to be able to, you know, to deal with this in the way they're presenting it to us. Because Tartaria and Antiquity on Twitter, what they do all the time is they'll just ask, they know that they're not allowed to make a statement that's incorrect, because that will mislead and get you binned off. So what they do is they ask a question or make a statement that's sort of correct, and then sort of leaves it lingering in the air like a bad fart. Like, I've now got to go and do some research that's not research. But this is the cup, right? The Lycurgus cup. How do we know where it was found? For a start, an overview. God, there's a lot of stuff here. Nanomaterials. You know, am I going to be able to know anything about nanomaterials? Could it be an accident? Could you accidentally make a nanomaterial glass? You know, if you're a glass maker and you're messing around with different oxides, can you accidentally make one? Or is it something you'd have to have a serious, you know, process to go through? I don't know. do I? It says that serum oxide is used as a fuel catalyst in many reactions, and that an important nanomaterial is carbon nanotubes. What they're basically saying is that during the making of the glass, tiny nanoparticles are created, and it's created through a chemical process of solvents, thermoplasmonic heating. So the Lycurgus cup is one of the collections of the British Museum, and it shows King Lycurgus being dragged to the underworld by Ambrosia. Right, well, here's a start. I know you've got lots of things popping off in chat and stuff that I can't really, I don't know what a geopolymer with nanobits of gold and silver, I could read out your chats and say that's what you're saying. They're there on screen, but I don't know, I'm not an expert in that enough to be able to qualify, oh, that could have been made by Romans, or it definitely couldn't, or it should be considered this or that. I have no way of qualifying that. My unknowns are quite big here. So I'm not going to jump in 2 feet first into saying this is definitely aliens or it's definitely fucking not Romans or anything, am I? Like, at the moment, what have I got to go on? It's a really old cup, and it was found, right? Where was it found? So it's going to take us a while today to go through this. I'm going to do this first tweet a bit, it's just random new. It came out 15 minutes ago. I'm just going to go into it like this and show you the thinking, and then we're going to go through some of the rest of the page. But Lycurgus cup, right? Where was it found? Where was it found? What's wrong with the internet these days? I'm only asking a straightforward question. Where was it found? That's all I want to know. And I don't want just a writing on a website. I want a picture of it in the ground and shit, How do I know it's not even fake? Like, over the years, people have made quite a lot of fake things to try and get some money out of the old, I found a bit of gold in the ground. Oh, it's a real old, is it or not? It was acquired by the British Museum in the 50s from the Rothschilds. So they're a bit dodgy, aren't they? Scientists had not examined it. When they did, they were puzzled by its changing colours. They keep going on about it being the Romans did it, but where do we know? How do we know? Where does the Roman Emperor Hadrian, who reigned from 117 to 138, sent his sister and brother 2 such amazing goblets. I'm sending you over some goblets, changing colour and variegated, presented to me by the priest of a temple, and now dedicated particularly to you, my sister. I should like you to use them at banquets on feast days. Take good care, however, that our dear Africanus does not use them too freely. It's a bit rude, isn't it? It's a bit racist. Or is Africanus not a... I don't know. Historia Augusta, Lives of Firmus... I don't know. Is that a good historical... is that a good historical... Historia Augusta? Is that like a really accurate translation? Is that really what the Emperor said? Because we have got some really good, accurate records of what was going on in ancient Rome. I can't verify that here. Can't verify. I'm not, at the moment, I'm not jumping in 2 feet and saying, oh, it's definitely fucking Roman. They said it on the internet. I'm being open-minded. But bear in mind, I'm not being so open-minded my brain falls out. It seems like all the other people on the internet that are, into their history have got other... It's not just like one thing here. It's not just like the cup. Now we've got an emperor who was recorded to have said... Like, he's not saying, I found this amazing cup. He's saying, I'm sending you a cup. Here it is. It's a gift. We found it in the record that there's this record of these cups that change colour. So it might be the same cup. It might be the same glass. Or it might not be at all. It might be some other technology that changes colour with heat. You don't know. You don't know. But we're going to just assume and put 2 and 2 together and make 4 or 5 or whatever we need to make. I would be interested to see how we'd aged it. Because... certain things you can age. You can sort of use, what do they call it? Spectrometry and other stuff to... Is it spectrometry? They age things with carbon dating, don't they? And it's really handy if it's coming out of a load of mud to have some of that mud, because that's where the carbon is. And sometimes there's not a lot of carbon on the actual item itself because it might not be made out of a carbon. There is something else I really want to bring up and I think that stands out very, big to me. is that this is an image of a, is it a Greek or Roman? Like, you've got these images here, look, they're Lycurgus, king of the... That's Greek, that is, isn't it? And now I've just closed that page, let's get it back, sorry. Now, it's hard for me to know off just like looking quickly on the internet, but let's just say, for example, these are Romans, and it's Roman stories, or it could be Greek. Yeah, say it's Greek, whatever, which one? What they're not is they're not fucking The Incredible Hulk or He-Man. So it's not been made by anyone in the 90s. I mean, it could be made by someone in the 90s, because they knew about this shit. But it couldn't be made by anyone, like it couldn't be made by anyone before the Romans, could it? Or before the Greeks. Because they wouldn't have had these stories about who's Lycurgus? Like, if that's a real depiction of Lycurgus tangled amongst these things, and it is taken for granted that it really is that, here's a bit of is that the right Lycurgus? Spartan cup depicts. See, I'm having to do my thinking now, but you know, it could be an accident that the glass came out this way in a process they did, and then they just kept doing it. It doesn't mean they've got super science and could design glass with different colours in. It might just be an accidental process. And the figure of Lycurgus, bound by the vine and naked apart from the boots, is flanked on the left by a crouching Ambrosia, Dionysius, Satyrs. These are Greeks. This is Greek. I told you it was Greek. So, like, for a start, if it's a Roman cup and it's got Greek stuff on it, it was perhaps made in Alexandria. Perhaps. They don't even know. They're not even claiming. In history, we're not even claiming that they know. It's a cage cup. So there was a style of cage cups at the time. So we know, like, there was a time when cage cups were stylish. You got the vine leaves. There may have been earlier mounts, so it might not have been the original handle and stand. So we only know that the Rothschilds had it, really. There are so many questions, yeah? There are so many open questions. The cage means nothing. I mean, exactly, yeah, like the cage could be just put on afterwards, couldn't it? So we can ignore that, maybe? But it seems very well made for it. And we've got these other cups. Like, this is a Rubens vase. So we've got other things that are similar, that have a bit of gilting on them, but not for the full cage. So it might be the cage was added after. So what we can go back to here, look, what I can go back to, is they've said this is the cup of Lycurgus, which was made in Rome. Well, we don't know that. That's conjecture. And we call it the cup of Lycurgus, but, you know, it possibly acts as Alexandria itself about 1,600 years ago. We don't know that. That's conjecture you're putting up there. Even the historians would say, well, we don't know that for certain. It's capable of changing colour. Well, it's not. It looks different colours when you look at it through different lights. It doesn't change colour, so that's wrong. That's incorrect. We just found that out. We said it was a kind of style of the nanoparticles in the glass that when you look at it from one direction with light from one direction, a bit like, have you ever done a cup of milk? Have you ever done a glass of milk? Glass of milk, torch, experiment. You know, you can replicate the way the sun moves through the atmosphere with this. Oh, hello, Grammarly. Fuck off. I was forced to learn my grammar at school. I don't need a computer program to teach me.
The way to demonstrate the scattering of light is to use milk if you don't have sodium thiocyanate. You notice now that the beaker here has a slightly blue tinge and that the light coming through is slightly orange in color.
So we know that you can shine light down or through, and depending on what's going on in the milk, the particles scatter the light differently. It's not what's going on in the Lycurgus cup. They've got nanoparticles, but it's a similar aspect, isn't it? It's the way the light works. through the material is what we see. It's not the case that the cup itself changes colour. If the artefact is illuminated by daylight from the front, it has a greenish hue. Now, I think you're wrong, again, because we saw here and here specifically, when viewed in reflected light, it says here, as in this flash photograph, the cup's dichroic glass is green in colour. So reflected light, not daylight. This is a flash photography image, so it's not daylight, that's a flash. But when viewed in transmitted light, the glass appears red, so it's about reflections. It's not about, like, the light's reflecting off the surface, you see the green. When the light's coming through from the back, you see the red. So we're not talking about daylight from the front. When illuminated from behind, it turns red, it appears red. So it might be just a matter of getting the slight words wrong here. Also the colours, you know, oh, you've done a blog about it, Rudy. The colours are green and red, port and starboard on boats and vessels, depending on the shade of colour. Yeah, interesting. Although the reason we use those colours in navigation is because they're different on the spectrum. Like, they're kind of opposed on the spectrum. So if you notice on this colour wheel that the green and the red are like opposite each other. They're not exactly opposite each other, but they're quite opposite. So if you were to have, let's say your two colours that you're using were red and blue, some people maybe with vision issues or through the atmosphere, or, you know, some people might look at it and say, that looks a bit purple to me, or that looks a bit purple to me. Well, which one's the blue and which one's the red? They both look purple to me. You need colours that are separated on the colour wheel for this purpose, for having clearly distinct, like, that's why we use green and red. Sometimes they do use red and blue on planes actually these days, but I think our illumination technology is a bit better these days. But you'd want distinctly different colours that clash with each other when they're set against each other, so you would see clearly the difference. So I think we've chosen those colours for that reason. I don't necessarily think that the Lycurgus Cup tells us anything about anything. In fact, the reason that it looks those two different colours through those two different lights is because the light scattering is different. We just saw on the colour spectrum, it's different light. So your choices of light are very limited in a way, aren't they? If one side is going to be red, it could look more violet red or more yellow red. And then if it's going to look different, it can't look purple or yellow because that's very close to red. That could be considered orange or purple. It's got to either be like turquoise or green. It's got to be opposite. It's got to be different, opposite. So I think that makes sense to me. Just generally like the way, you know, it would work. And if anything, what I'm seeing is a difference between reflected light showing me the outer surface and not looking transparent. And that might even be a feature of the way my eyes work. But anyway, so what we've seen here is they've posted, colourblind people can't see the difference between red and green. That's a good point. That's a good point. Red, amber, green. I'm only guessing there. I might not be the authority on who chooses what coloured lights for standing out, but it was a guess that we'd want to choose things that would. That's what I'd do anyway. The point I was trying to make about this cup, right? When the sun shines through it, you can tell where you are. If you know sunset, there might be that. The point I'm trying to make is we've all got different ideas. You've got some ideas. They're interesting ideas. I'm not poo-pooing them. What we're all saying, though, is we're not certain. Definitely not certain. So why is Tartarian Antiquity picking this out and posting it on here? The archaeologist dating is based solely on the fact the first people to excel in glass were the Romans. Well, I don't know that. Is it? Is it? Or is it based on the fact that there's other corroborating evidence for these vessels being used in Roman times? It's not based solely on the fact the first people to excel in glass were the Romans. That's not what their dating is based on. We just saw an example of them basing the dating on a written record of these kind of vessels being transported from one person to another as a gift. So they're talking shit. Yeah, they're talking shit now. So now what they've done is they posted up the interesting thing that we don't have the answers to. It's interesting, we don't have the answers. We can sort of assume it was made sometime in the history, in the past, and not in fucking, you know, Woolworths. Oi, barking. Yeah, I get it. There are people outside. We can sort of assume it wasn't made, like, you know, in a factory yesterday, can't we? Churned off the production line and sold in Tesco's. Like, there are some assumptions being made just by the look of the thing, but we saw that outer bit wasn't even necessarily important. We saw lots of interesting things, but like nanoparticles of silver and gold. At the same time, these particles are like someone's written gold and silver nanoparticles. How did they know that? They didn't have to know it. What a silly thing. So now we've got somebody going down the rabbit hole. So this bait, this like, you know, fishing bait has been thrown out there, something a bit confusing that we don't have the answers to. I'm not claiming to have the answers. Nobody is. Yeah? Who made this and why? When did they make it? We've got a general idea. That's all. Just a general... Marlo, you will have to stop barking every time you hear a noise. We've got a general idea, and we don't have the exact answer. It's an interesting thing. It doesn't prove aliens or anything like that, because we know that when you're making glass, which they were, yeah, you could put in, like, someone might have been experimenting. Maggots of bait. I'm surrounded by fish, but I wouldn't use. I'd have no fishing hook, vegan, just to put the string in the water. I'm saying that, like, if I'm a glass maker back then, and like I know that putting different things in the glass makes different things happen, I'd experiment and I might be able to make it happen by accident. Because we saw it was just a chemical process. It just involved putting some oxides that are different in with the process, and then using a certain like technique. Like, you know, you might have been coming across this by accident. Certainly, a lot of discoveries are made by accident. And then what do? You make a few cups. Job done. Sell your cups. Years and years later, people can't understand how possibly you could understand nanoparticles. You didn't have to. You didn't have to understand nanoparticles. People are making great big leaps. So there's our first one, Tartarian antiquity. It's interesting. It's interesting. I'm interested in the cup. You know, I could take more time out of my life now to go and get interested in this cup. Go on, let's have a look at this. We'll do a little bit more. That is 1080p. No, it's not. That's 1080p. But it's not a very good video, is it? Is this the British Museum? Get off. No, it's someone called John Lawrence with 25 subscribers. I was going to say. It's interesting this webpage here has decided to embed that video. But let's have a look at what it is. I'm going to bin off their music as well because it's just silly music. All they've done is videoed the cup. So there's nothing here for us to understand or see. They've just videoed the cup. And there's the different light changing effects. I get it. You know, it makes sense to me. It's a big cup. But I'd have to do... You know what I'm saying? If you wanted to get into that, you'd have to get... Like, if you wanted to know the answers to this, what you'd want to do is you'd want to, first of all, know a bit about Roman history. Then you'd want to know a bit about Greek history, because it's Greeks that are depicted, if I'm not wrong. Then you'd want to know a bit about... I mean, let's say a bit. You'd want to know a bit, like a deep, good old bit. And then you'd want to know a bit about glassware as well, wouldn't you? I tell you what, I love glassware. My nan, she had a sister, and her sister, Auntie Florrie, we used to go around her house, and she used to scare me a little bit. You know, she used to scare me a little bit, to be honest. And she used to have all these little glass things in a cabinet. She used to have these clowns. I wonder what even happened to them. You know, I wonder what even happened to them. And like, they'd be in a cabinet, and I'd be like a kid, and I'd be like, oh, can I play with the clown? No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. I love them though. I love the fact they were made out of glass. They were interesting. So glass works. You know, you'd have to learn about glass, wouldn't you? You'd have to know a bit to know what you're talking about. So now you need to know about the Romans. Now you need to know about the glass. If you're not expert on these issues, I would say don't jump 2 feet first into believing some weird conspiracy or saying that it's proof, therefore. I saw it on Twitter. It can't be explained, therefore, you know, XYZ. No, calm the fuck down. Like, it could be quite easily explained by some Roman dude made a mistake in the glass workshop, dropped the bottle of this into the bottle of that, and went through the process of making the glass, and it came out different. And then they practiced a bit. I mean, we're talking about thousands of years, aren't we, ago? And there's been thousands of years to get it right before that. Maybe they were practicing for a bit. You know, the Etruscans are also proving to be more advanced than was first thought. Yeah, you know, it could be that. The earliest Greek civilizations are far older and more civilized than previously thought. It could be that. You know, I'm open to that. I'm totally open to that. They might have known a bit more than we think they know, or we give them credit for. Yeah. Like, not like fucking flying spaceships around and free energy. No. Things within the realms of physics. But making a bit of coloured glass, yeah. Yeah, definitely. So, to me, this is not like, you know, a rabbit hole that needs going down, but to somebody, as we just saw, there's 9 retweets here. There's already somebody saying, how did the people in the past know about gold nanoparticles? A silly question to ask, which reveals you to be a real, you know, what's going on with you? Are you that smart that you've jumped to that conclusion? There's your retweet, you know. I don't know about these people interested in rocks and geology, so you'd think they would, like, there's a natural occurring rock. That wasn't made by Tartaria, was it? Although, you know, how did they possibly, it can't possibly be explained. I mean, I don't know. Bit about stocks and shares there. There's another, I like crystals there. I'm a big fan of rocks and crystals as well. Looks beautiful, that does. So, you know, why would you assume these strange things? I don't know, but that person has. They're down the rabbit hole. And that's where we've come from. It's a bit dangerous to me. Look up Lem knows the portal. Alright, I will do, but I wanted to stick on this, you know, particular thing today, but I will do. And, you know, if I find we can... It's an island in the Aegean Sea. It's not bringing up a lot of, you know, stuff about a specific portal here. Maybe it's because it's Google. It's a Greek island. I just want to see where it is in the sea. There it is. Okay, so it's... Right. Because what we've got here, the Mediterranean Sea, this part of the Mediterranean Sea here is where they would have sailed boats, you know, they'd have considered that the open ocean almost. And during... Is it the Argonauts? Jason and the Argonauts, where he's pinging around and he's on that quest for the Golden Fleece and he's bouncing around these sort of places. And they had cultures up and down this end here that were travelling, keeping to the coast maybe, and then all of this up and around Greece, all these Hellenic islands would have all been, you know, to-ing and fro-ing, coming and going, things going on, yeah? So Lemnos is there in the middle of it. Little island in the middle of it. So I've learned something new, that I've met a new Greek island that I didn't know about. I'm not a big expert on all the Greek islands, but there it is in the middle of it. You know, in global terms, just a little island in the middle in the world somewhere, isn't it? Lemnos ancient ruins. I'll have another look and then we'll go back to the thing, but... TripAdvisor, probably not that. Fan activity blog. Maybe if we just go on images and we find an image of it and then I'll... Right, okay, so we've got some ancient ruins. Ancient theatres. Shirley Valentine did go to the Greek islands, yes. It dates the period when the floods believed to have happened. Maybe. I'm not seeing anything that stands out here as being, like, out of the ordinary, though, at the moment. I'm just seeing... I mean, it might be because I'm just searching on Google. Maybe I've got to go and do some deeper research for this one for you, but I'm just seeing, like, you know, what you would expect to see. The remains of a Greek civilization, like all the others. What I would say that's really important to say is that even if you found something there that you can't explain... And I was watching a video last night about Core 7 in Egypt. Just quickly bang this one in. You might know about this one, Core 7, which is... Basically, they're saying that in ancient Egypt, before the Old Kingdom, there might have been an original, more advanced civilization that was able to do stoneworking, and they might have had advanced tools. And one of the reasons I say this is because they found these holes that were drilled, apparently drilled with stone drills, like hollow drills that drill in, and then within them are these cores that you then drill out, and this one's called Core 7. It was found in Egypt, and it appears to have been drilled in one continuous action, not back and forth with a hand drill like this, which, although copper hand drills can drill through granite, not back and forth like that, but in one continuous action at a certain pressure. That's what they reckon. But my question, right, there we go, it'll be a tiny image. What tiny image? My question, and I've got a few questions, is really, like, that's what you assume from today's technology if you were to try and produce a core like that out of that rock with today's technology. That's your assumptions. But does it have to be that? Does it have to be? And how do you get these cores out once you've drilled in? And like they're saying, they snap them and they just come out. Doesn't seem very accurate. Doesn't seem very, these people are supposed to be doing super accurate stone tooling, and then you snap that off and pull it out, and you're left with a bit at the bottom that you snapped off and you've still got left in there. Doesn't seem very accurate. Are you sure it was done when you said it was done before the pyramids, or could it have been done like more recently and somebody left it there? Does it have to have been done with a drill? Can it have been done with acids or other forms of rock degradation? Does it have to have been done quickly? Could it have been taken time? Like, why do we assume that? It's obvious why we assume it is that if you look at it, you'd be like, right, if I'm going to do that now, that looks like one of these tools that I would use to drill out like to bore a hole in like one of these drill bits. It looks like someone's used this. Yeah, that's what we would sort of use, except it hasn't got the middle bit. But it looks like that. That's what you jump to. That's what you jump to, because you're used to seeing these things in today's day and age. But it might be that it's something completely different. Like, bear in mind that you jump to the conclusion that makes sense to us today, but it might be something completely different. And it just looks like the same sort of thing, and you've put two and two together, and do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean, though? Like, it could be, couldn't it? Like, there are some things in the world that look so much like one thing, and then when you explained it, it turns out to be another. Like, remember when that woman thought that termite mound was a building? I haven't got a good example of this. Things that look like other things. And also, there's another question, which is, why are they drilling holes in these things? Like, why are they drilling holes in them? To what point? Are they, why are they drilling holes in them? Why are they drilling them? I'm not looking for, like, when the bubbles in the glass look like a face. I'm looking for actually something that you might go, oh, that's clearly this. And then it turns out, no, it's not that. It's used, when maybe that's a better idea. When you get those funny design things, you sometimes get them in shops, like, designers make something, and you're like, what is that? I can't understand what it's for. And then someone shows you and it's a potato peeler, and you're like, oh, I see now. Do you know what I mean? Maybe it's something like that. Maybe it's a byproduct of something like that, where we automatically assume it's XYZ, but it could be CDB. You don't know. You don't know. You just found a bit of rock and you jump into a conclusion. And my questions are, why are they carving, for that, why are they making them into circles? My questions here are a bit easier to answer then, aren't they? Because for the same reason I can't answer that ancient Egyptian, why are they carving boreholes? Like, why are they carving them? Why are they drilling those holes? Is it for construction purposes, or, they found them in statues in between the feet? Were they going to stick a piece of wood in there and have a flag, or was it just a feature of the way the rock, why are they doing it? If you can find out the whys, you get more chance of understanding the, it's not just one question, there's many questions. So here, this is obviously decorative, wouldn't you say? Like, they're not doing that because they need you to know what's in it. They're not making it clever light, patterns through the glass so that you know whether you should drink out of it or what time of day it is. It's a cup. What's it for? It's for drinking out of. And why is it so elaborate? Because they had elaborate things for posh people. Decorative. We're going to agree on that, yeah, aren't we? It's decorative. So if it is decorative, and it's featuring Greek and certain mythologies. There are only certain times in the world where Energy Flow Tribe, hello, aka James Brockhurst, so-called ancient Egypt, not ancient Egyptian, but a very different civilization from the pre-flood. That's what I've heard. You know, some other people have mentioned that. I'm open to the idea that there was a civilization before Egypt. Yeah, absolutely. Taking it a lot further, and the way it gets taken with some of this mud flood reset stuff, a bit excessive, I think. So what I'm going to say, though, with just a bit of detectoring, is, you know, a bit of insight, is that it's probable that this was made at a certain time when cups like this were popular, or decoration like this was popular. It's probable, isn't it? It's possible it was made, you know, in the 1950s, because we don't know, because we got it from one of the Rothschilds, so we don't know. But if we are to assume it's been dug up out the ground and is, you know, an ancient artifact, and it's been, if we were to assume it's been carbon dated, because it is in the museum, you'd think they would, you know, check these things. So we're sort of going for something that's really old, something that's decorative, something that might have been made accidentally, or at least the technology to create this glass might have been come up with accidentally, and because they were dealing with all sorts of glass works, they were messing about with putting stuff in the glass. I mean, it might have been done a bit later, and they might have made it to look like it was old because they had a fashion for that in certain eras. But unlikely to be made by pre-Egyptian or pre-Greek. Very unlikely to be made by anything pre-Greek, because it depicts a Greek story that's common amongst other Greek literature. Like, it's a Greek myth. So the Romans and the Greeks are quite close, you know, both in history and geography. It's very unlikely to be anything previous to that. So what we've got is this funny crossover of ideas now, haven't we? Because on Tartaria Antiquity, they've posted that like, it's like a question, and all this, and how did they know in the past, therefore it might not be the past, or maybe the past has got secret tech. Bit of a rabbit hole. I think we've done enough there to, like, cover what we want to say about this. Like, here's a website if you want to look at it, with a lot of interesting stuff. Question the narrative, you know, Science Direct put all their working out in there, so I'll put it in the chat. We're not just here for the cup today, but at least I've said enough to hopefully stop people from going down a mad rabbit hole that would end up you end up giving money to people who don't deserve your money, and you end up wasting your time on stuff that doesn't require your time, and you end up confused and angry and alienated from people in your life who don't agree with your ideas because they think your ideas are a bit loop. And what is it all? How does it serve you? Here's my other big question that I always ask about these things. How does that cup serve you? You know, we're all here in chat talking about all different things. How does this cup and your knowledge of the ancient history that's pre-Greek or Greek or of around that time? Now, let's say a different story. Let's say now I found out the Greeks have got, or the pre-Greeks have got super technology, and they came down from aliens and they gave them this technology, and I can prove it with this cup. Let's say that, right? Next week I'm going to get my gas bill. It's going to be fucking huge. Doesn't matter about this cup. Liz Truss is going to get in charge of the Conservative Party, our second unelected leader in as many terms. It doesn't matter about the cup. They're going to cut taxes for all their business friends and make a fucking mint. Nadeem Zahawi is currently telling us to be careful with our energy after he stole loads of it to feed his stables business. Like, that doesn't matter about the cup. I need to pay my bills. It doesn't matter about the cup. I need to have a nice, stable, solid mental health situation. I can't be getting stressed and angry and upset. I don't want to be arguing with all the peers and friends. We've got enough to argue about with Brexit and vaccinations. Like, people get really on both sides. I remember when I was at school and we were being taught about the Civil War, and I thought how silly it was. I couldn't understand or believe it that they would have a brother killing a brother over their allegiance to the king or their decision to have Oliver Cromwell as future leader. You know, brother killing brother. I never thought that was possible. I couldn't understand it until through Brexit and COVID I saw, you know, literally people who I used to respect and enjoy their time and their company turn into people that I couldn't bear to be around. So bear this in mind, right? Question the narrative. What do they, I'm pointing at Boris Johnson, those fuckers, what do they want for the common people? To be disorganised, to be disparate, to be confused and argumentative with each other, and to be able to mobilise them behind their cause. Who voted for Boris Johnson? All the Brexit people. So the whole Brexit thing and all that was good for Boris Johnson, but they told you it was good for the common people of the land, and, you know, fuck off. About all this anti-vax stuff and all that. I'm not even going to get onto that now, that's a different story, but they want to confuse you, they want to disorganise you, they want you arguing and backbiting. I'll tell you what they don't want is you to be politically motivated, educated, and to understand the world clearly and see things for what they are. Because that would cause them issues, wouldn't it? Now we're back to, what is this cup? It doesn't serve you. This cup is not serving you. These ideas are confusing you, and they're part of manipulation to make generally a disorganised mass of people that don't understand the world properly. Questioning everything, not getting any answers, wasting our time. Does this cup serve you? Does this cup serve you? You know, that's a different question, isn't it? From, is this cup ancient history? Is this cup real technology? Are they lying about it? Did the Rothschilds make it? All those questions can be brought up at a different in a different conversation. I'm asking you a different question. At the end of today, does that help you pay your bills? It helps somebody pay their bills. It helps this fucker with their Twitter pay their bills. It helps the people on YouTube who are getting money from their videos pay their bills. Does it help you pay your bills? Has the time spent investigating this cup benefited your life? Or are there better things for you to be doing? That's just the cup. This is the Twitter. And look, it goes on and on. So we're going to go down, we're going to keep picking on some things. I'll pick on you in chat now. We don't have a Prime Minister yet, no. An Egyptian ship was found in the Humber River just before World War II. It's quite interesting. Could well have been done. Could well have done. You know, there's a lot of time between ancient Egypt, or I don't know what period of Egypt you're talking. I'm assuming you mean like an ancient. There's a lot of time between then and now, isn't there? A lot of ways for it to get there. And this is the thing, like, we can't jump to any particular conclusions. So next, in the Balkans were found monuments of writing in dialectical Russian, alphabetic alphabet, and consonant vocalic script. There's so much in there to unpack, isn't there? These documents are dated to the end of 2, beginning of 1 millennium BC. The pictograms are dated to the 8th millennium BC in the 19th century. It's a statement with no... That's just conjecture. And here's a photograph of something else, something different. And then there's all sorts of conjecture written down here. Why is there no links to any of it? Why is it this weird conjecture about what was going on in the 1st millennium BC? And I don't know where to go with that. Wouldn't know where to go with that. The Europeans, of course, lagged behind the Indians, but they could use a hammer and chisel. The church in Rosslyn is pictured, right? At least I can, you know, begin with that. I can begin with that. Ecosia search, so it's not Google, so, you know, I'm not some chuffer, but I am planting trees. This chapel, collegiate chapel of St Matthew, 15th century, in the village of Rosslyn, Scotland. It's in Scotland. So now, you know, I'm finding out more than they're offering me on the internet. I'm going down the rabbit hole. But I have to, because they're not telling me the facts. The church in Rosslyn is pictured, according to the scientists. What scientists? What are you on about? It was built by the Knights Templar. What? According to scientists, it was... No. What do you mean? According to scientists, it was built by the right Knights Templar. There'll be records of who built it, because it was a church building. So... It was founded on a small hill above Rosslyn Glen as a Catholic collegiate church with between 4 and 6 ordained canons, 2 boy choristers in the mid-15th century. The chapel was founded by William Sinclair, 1st Earl of Caithness. And so, like, there's actual records of all of it. Celebrate Mass, Heritage of Plainsong, Scottish Reformation 15th century, Catholic worship in the chapel was brought to an end. The Sinclair family continued to be Catholics. Then there was an Anglican communion. The chapel was target of terrorist bombing in 1914. Like, since 1980s, the chapel has been the subject of speculative theories concerning a connection with the Knights Templar and the Holy Grail and Freemasonry. It was featured recently in Dan Brown's best-selling novel, The Da Vinci Code. Oh, all right, well, there you go then. And in its 2006 film, medieval historians say these accounts have no basis in fact. Well, no, they don't have any basis in fact, do they? Because it's out of a fucking book. Jesus was not really, like, his sister was not really, like, the Da Vinci Code was not really. So, you know, I'll bin that off. I'll bin off the ideas come out of the Da Vinci Code in favour of the actual recorded history that they've got. Because, like, the 15th century is not old. Like, in America and places, they're like, oh, it's so fucking old. But, like, you know, 15th century, 1400s, like, we've got records. They're all written down. Like, even the people that were there and paid for it and did it. So, yeah, we've got that. We know that. Like, no one's questioning that, apart from the people that have been confused because ideas have gone around from the Da Vinci Code. And then those ideas have entered into public consumption and people have got confused with, like, ideas about the Knights Templar and the Holy Grail. I've got a lovely book upstairs about the Knights Templar and the Holy Grail, like, and about the Crusades. It's really interesting and there's a lot of truth in what happened. It was all recorded. So you don't have to have a speculative theory concerning a connection because they would have recorded it. They'd have written it down. We've got all the records. That's why we know about the Knights Templar. Like, that's why we know about the Crusades. Not with cameras, but with writing and cross-referencing. So, you know, oh, you don't like the Da Vinci Code? No, it's just a film. It's just an idea, like a clever idea. It's like the same thing as saying, like, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. In that film, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles came out of the sewers from radiation. So, you know, now looking back on ancient sewer systems, it could be possible that there are turtles growing out of there into human forms. Could be possible. I mean, it started off in a film, but now let's go with it. Like, ridiculous. Just ridiculous. Because all the people that... I mean, I'm going to go get the book. Hang on, just one sec. I mean, it's not uncommon for me to do this on stream. It's not uncommon, but for those of us who are born... Anyone that's watching that was born in, you know, millennials, anyone that's millennial... The dust come off there, it's been on the shelf for a while. See this? Look at all the words in it. It's like a big, long text. It's like someone sent me a text message. It's got words in it, look. It's all words. So someone sent me a big long text message. It's a bit like a... how would I describe it to you? Because you don't know what slices of paper are, do you? You know when you get when you get your new phone. No, you don't have an instruction book in your phone anymore, do you? How would you describe a book to a millennial? It's like toilet paper with texts on it, all pushed together in a big... with a... Anyway. I've got a book, I've been reading it. You know, it's not uncommon for me to do this on stream, to show you a book that I've been reading. This is a really good one from Piers Paul Reed. I don't know Piers Paul Reed, but, like, along with all the stuff that's in the book, at the back, there's all these other, like, references. It's a bit bright, isn't it? And these are pages and pages of references, so it's not just one book. This appendices here in the back has a big bibliography of all the other books that he's been looking at and talking about, and you know, showing you working out. It can be cross-referenced and re-verified later. So there's lots and lots of stories and ideas about the Crusades, and this guy, a bit of a historian, he read history at Cambridge. and has written 12 acclaimed novels. So considered to be a bit of a cheese, bit of a big cheese on the subject. Templars, it's a good book. It's quite a good book. It doesn't mention in this book that the Knights Templar founded this rustling chapel, like it says in the Da Vinci Code. In the appendices at the back, it doesn't mention the Da Vinci Code at all. So I'm not just pulling ideas out of my arse. There's some ideas that I read in a book. I remembered, I would have remembered if the Da Vinci Code was mentioned in it. So it's not just like one person. No, there's loads of people that are going through history and recording it, and then there's lots of people reinterpreting that record for us today and showing us their working out and all that. So we've got books and we've got stuff like that. So we don't need to just like make random conjecture. The Europeans lag behind the Indians. They could use a hammer and chisel. The church in Rosalind is pictured. According to science, now I don't know if that is, you're telling me it is, but again, there's no, what is this? It's a very bad, grainy JPEG, there's JPEG artifacts. So you've ripped this picture off the internet and then you've re-uploaded it. Like, it's, what is it? I can't even see what it is. But apparently it's this. Apparently it is. For me to verify it now and interior, but I'm likely, if you do this, usually if you search on Google, it's better because the photos they use on these people's websites usually are just ripped off Google. Quite often they're just ripped off Google. So let's try it with Google. Maybe they didn't write interior like me. But quite often you get them on Google and they just rip the first ones off Google anyway. So it is quite impressive, isn't it? Look, it is quite impressive, all this stuff. Well, I mean, kind of. It's just carved stone, isn't it? It's not that impressive, actually. It's not like machine tooled, like, it's just like carved stone. I mean, what are we saying? What are we supposed to be saying anyway? The church in Rosslyn, according to scientists, it was built by the Knights Templar. Now, remember, that's incorrect. Because there are no scientists saying that it was built by the Knights Templar. No scientists. And what do you mean by scientists? Like Nigel Tyson deGrasse and all the physicists, they haven't got time to be doing this. Scientists, what are you on about? Using primitive tools. What do you mean, primitive tools? What do you mean, primitive tools? Primitive tools. I don't know. I don't think they were using those, were they? Like back then, the Knights Templar themselves were walking around in suits of fucking armour, mate. In the XV century, and is one of the most mysterious temples. It's not one of the most mysterious temples. No, it's not. All of its history is recorded. It's not even a temple, you dickhead. Now, what have we got on these comments? Look, what annoys me about it is that in itself is kind of harmless, isn't it? It's kind of harmless. It's just a fucking science's peer-reviewed, agreed opinions. Fair enough. I mean, I don't know though, is it? I thought science was a process of experimentation that can be verified. Right, let's just find out what the definition of science is. It's not science, man, but I'll rock it. Did you see what I said? It's not science, but I'll rock it. As in, if the shack's rocking, don't come knocking. It's not science, but I'll rock, as in rocket science. It's not science, but I'll rock it. That's one of mine, that is. That's one of mine. Science. Definition. I mean, there are different definitions, aren't there, of words? So it doesn't really matter if one person says it this and the other person says it that. But the intellectual and practical activity encompasses the systematic study. We've got that again. Systematic study of the structure and behaviour of the physical natural world through observation and experiment. That's what I thought, yeah. You see things and you say, well, I think that the sky looks blue because of the way the light is refracting through the atmosphere. But then you can do shining torch through milk. Then you could do the shining the torch through the milk, and you can observably, measurably do an experiment to see what it looks like when you shine light through refracted part, and you go, oh, it does. That's like proof almost. It's evidence of that, and then you can you can understand the world through experimentation. It's not just one experiment, is it? You do lots. Observation and experiment. Science. Now, I thought what we were looking at here, sorry to be rude or anything, scientists say it was built by the knights. I thought what we were looking at was history, for a start, and historic science maybe, would be, for science to be involved, it would be there's an issue here, right? There's an history. Not history of science, but scientific, historical, no, I don't want historical science. You're getting me confused, Google, internet. Because I'm just giving you a simple 2 words and you're getting me confused. It's quite deep and quite hard to explain what I'm trying to say here, but it's important. Science is factual, experimentable. There's no ideas and ifs, buts, and that's at the start. They're the hypotheses, they're the theories, and then you put them into practice. You do the science, you get the answers, or at least what we accept as answers until someone else proves something otherwise. You go on the evidence. You're not going on what he said, she said, my thoughts, my heart, my mind. You're going on the science. History is about uncovering things from the past and putting together a story, a case, like a forensics, or archaeology is some part science. Archaeology is some part science. Can we determine where this bone came from? Yes, it's in this part of the ground here. Geography. Can you determine where, what time period it came from? Well, there's a little bit of hair on it, and we can carbon date the hair. This date. Science, yeah? Why is the bone there? I think someone might have cooked an animal and eaten it and put it there. Conjecture. No science. Can't do any measurable. There's no scientific experiments to prove who moved bones where. Maybe you could look at teeth marks, and then again you're looking at a Sherlock Holmes style way. Someone didn't have to have eaten it. They could have used it to brush their teeth, and they were bored and started chewing their toothbrush. Could be teeth marks on it. No guarantees. There's a difference between a science, a reality, a scientific reality, and what we do in history, the way we piece together history from lots of different, maybe some scientific, and maybe some conjecture, and maybe some good ideas that are backed up by other ideas. I think maybe it might have been an alchemical process because there were alchemists, or you know what I'm saying? It's a bit like court cases sometimes. It's a bit like when they do evidence in court, and either you're on the video doing the crime, or someone saw you near the crime and then they saw you after the crime, and then they know you had a collection of knives and there's one knife missing. Put it all together, but they're not showing you poking the knife in. So did you do the crime? Well, I've got you on video here. Right, that's science. Got it on video. See it, A, B, black, white. But all the other stuff, not science really. So scientists say it was built by the Knights Templar is just fucking rubbish. Scientists wouldn't ever, and bear in mind, they would never say it was built by the Knights Templar, because no science could tell you who was doing the building. Science could tell you when it was built, maybe materials used, maybe techniques used. But who was doing the building and why is not a scientific question. People's motivations, the organisations they belong to in the past, are not scientific questions. Are they? You can't do an experiment to tell me who the Knights Templar were. You can't do an experiment to show me that they were there building a church. It's not scientific like that. It's not. You understand what I'm saying, don't you? I think everyone that's listening to this understands what I'm saying. There's a difference between an art, there's a craft, there's a difference between a building up a historical record of evidences and a case. There's a difference between subject, what they say in evidence terms, they had it with Johnny Depp recently, didn't they? What do they say in evidence terms? It's all circumstantial evidence. There's circumstantial evidence and there's evidence. You know, there's science, a photograph, a footprint, a fucking, you know, fingerprint, a DNA sample. And then there's, like, you know, the Knights did it. Scientists say the Knights did it. So whoever's written that is not only talking shit, but they're talking shit in a really confused way, I'll say. Kind of confused. Using primitive tools, and there's nothing primitive about it yet. I'd agree with what you're saying in chat as well. These churches were not built in primitive times, so there's nothing primitive about it. Primitive is a confusion here. And it's one of the most mysterious temples. It's not. All of these things are wrong, aren't they? Like, and now what we're saying, like, bearing in mind your analytical mind, it might not be a scientific analysis, but your analytical mind can agree with me. We can agree. We can. What we can agree with is they're not being accurate in what they're saying. What they're saying is either wrong because they're stupid or wrong because they're trying to deliberately be wrong, but it's wrong. And the primitive thing, even if you're like, you know, a truther, a resetter or whatever, you can see that this particular thing here, not, you know, you'd want better evidence, wouldn't you, than just somebody saying it's using primitive tools, because you know in the 15th century it's not primitive, and that they're not doing that with primitive tools. So wrong. Yeah, wrong. So everything else, like, this is what I'm going to say about building up a, like, would you then say, right, this person who I know tweets a load of shit, yeah, this person who I know tweets a load of shit, look, they've been tweeting while we're talking. They're tweeting while we're talking. An old world full of unanswered questions. The rabbit hole continues. Another door is opened into another door. Another corridor is opened into another corridor. It never ends. And we know they talk shit. We know that. So this particular one that I'm looking at now, which, you know, brand new one here, just...
Des moteurs électriques. Un peuple dans un pays étranger inconnu qui ne fait que laisser sa marque.
It's even in French, so, you know, what am I supposed to know about that?
Qu'un peuple en plein essor a construit cette ville entière en seulement 30 ans. Et encore une fois,
It could be just a load of shit, couldn't it? Because I know the other stuff's a load of shit. So that's where I come from. I start thinking like this. I question the narrative. I question their narrative. When you want to question the narrative, you got to think big. Yeah? You got to think big if you want to be a player. You got to think big. Tartarian antiquity, PayPal. Is it one person who wants a bit of cheeky PayPal and Patreon money? It could be. It could be. What about this for a question the narrative? What about this? Do the people that... They want you to be confused. They want you to be disorganised. And they want you to fight against each other. Yeah? Whoever they is, that's what they want. Yeah? Question that narrative. Could they pump this shit out? Yeah? How do you know and verify who this is? Why do you trust this when you don't trust, like, CNN? I don't trust CNN because they've got a financial interest in producing the news from a political aspect. Even though I'm left-wing, CNN and left-wing, I don't trust them because they've got a financial interest in portraying the news as a political aspect. Why is this free from that question? Why do people who are on the internet, who go down the Tartaria rabbit hole, not question the people who are producing the content, the people who are paying them to produce the content? Are they shills? I'm not saying they are. People have said it about me, you're a shill. But it's funny that they would level it at me because I'm here to debunk certain things. Oh, fuck you, you must be a shill, government paid, debunking the truth. Why is this not pumped out by spurious media agencies to confuse and pollute people's minds? Why is that not a possibility? Question the narrative. When you're talking about getting people to vote in America, this has come round recently. It's the internet age now. When you're talking about Trump, and Q, I can't even say the thing, can I? I haven't even typed it properly because, you know, that letter Q and all that. When you're talking about this, I've said this before, right? A lot of shit got pumped out on the internet. And it was all American based. It was all based in America, American ideas of politics. It's all for a reason, because this man here would not normally vote. In the previous election, he wasn't interested. He's anti-political. They don't have my rights at heart. They're trying to fuck me over. I don't believe in the system. Fuck the system. Then someone comes along who they can vote for, who garners that. These people are disenfranchised voters. They're not voting, right? You've got a political system and you want to win an election. And you can say, all the people that vote left wing, vote left wing. All the people that vote right wing, right wing. Well, how am I going to win? I can't change their minds. I'll tell you who I can't change the mind of. I'll tell you who I can't change their mind. If you're Donald Trump, yeah, I'll just put an image of the left wing. Like, this is a really good example. You're not going to, like, if you're on the side of Conservatives, yeah, and you want people from Labour to vote for you, that's how you win the election, isn't it? It's these swings back and forward. There were traditional places in the government in the UK up north. You only ever vote Labour. You don't vote for Conservative. It's just an ingrained fact. How'd you get them to do that? Oh look, who else is on the right wing? Oh, I see. UK independence, Brexit. So now all these Labour people don't realise they're moving over to the right wing. They're not, in their mind, they're moving to UKIP. And then UKIP disappears and fucks off and they all vote Conservative. That's what literally happened in our system. That's what literally happened. How do you steal votes from the left wing? You either disguise yourself as something else and say that it's all about liberties and freedoms and, you know, make Britain great again. You disguise yourself as something else. Make Britain great again became an American slogan, didn't it? It became make America great again. Donald Trump literally looked at the politics that was used in the UK and how we confused people that are traditionally left-wing Labour voters to vote for a thing that's against their agenda, against their own, because the Conservatives haven't got their financial interests at heart. You can see it playing out in the economy. So, you know, that's how it's done. What about people who don't vote? What about people who, like, because certain people are going to vote Labour and you're not going to convince them to vote Conservative by saying that, oh, there's 25,000 immigrants here this week. Oh, it's bad. Oh, the dirty immigrants. You're not going to convince them. They see through it. They go, yeah, but what about the millions of people who are born into poverty every day? Like, if you look at birth rates and death rates, like, illegal immigration, look, into the UK, it'll be big on the news. Watch, be big on the news, big on the news. Right wing, Albanians are coming in. The fucking Albanians are coming in the country. Ah, bastards, illegals coming in. Send them back. All this shit. Yeah, that's been the political narrative for a good few years. And when you look at the numbers, it's not even 1%. No, it's just a joke. It's an absolute joke, right? When you look at the numbers, and it's rising because of Brexit, because the irony is that Brexit causes more of this illegal immigration, and then the people that are motivated to vote Brexit are even more motivated now because there's more immigrants. 28,000 tried to enter the UK in 2021, right? 28,000, that's the number. And then you look at this, I'm going a bit of a tangent here, but I'm just getting on with my thing, just riffing. Then you look at this, right? You look at this, 28,000 come in the boats. What about birth rate UK? And when were we talking? It was 2021, wasn't it? 2021, not birth rate then, birth figures. You know, I want the total figures. I don't want to rate per 1,000 people. That's a stupid thing. I don't want to rate per 1,000 people. That disguises it. I want to know how many people have been born. Right, there were in England and Wales in 2020. There were 600,000, nearly 700,000. It's 600,000, and we were talking about 20,000 immigrants. So, just a quick bit of maths. Calculator, we had 600,000. Divide that by 100, that's 1%. Yeah, 6,000. So not even 1%. Not even the immigrants. Wait, what were the immigrants? They were 25. Okay, no, Okay, so wait, we had, what did we say, 28,000? Divide that by 6,000. Sorry, got my numbers wrong. 28,000 divided by 6,123 equals... It's about 2% then, isn't it? 2.3%. Basically, what we're saying is that if you've got a problem with the number of people coming into the UK because they're taking our, resources and they're illegals and all this bullshit, yeah, then what you should actually look at is how many people are being born into families that are on benefits. How many children are being born under the poverty line? Because they're the people that are really taking our resources. Like the 1% immigration, the 2% immigration, and the 98% birth rate are way out of whack. And all the politics that are involved don't talk about it. UKIP and all this shit. Trump, build the wall. Build the wall. Right, so what I'm saying is you need to motivate people who aren't normally going to vote. And this is how you motivate them. You talk a load of bullshit on the internet. You tap into them, because that's where they are on 4chan. Have you ever been on 4chan? Shouldn't do this live on the internet, should you, unless you're nuts. You ever been on 4chan? This is where these things start, Go on the internet on 4chan and post a load of anonymous shit. And then some people think that anonymous shit is probably more likely the truth than anything else out there in the world. And that if you knew the truth, that would be where you go and do it. On 4chan. Tell everyone the truth on 4chan, where everything else is a slew of bullshit, a slew of endless right-wing horse shit, and then the truth. That's where you'd want to be. You'd want to put yourself there. You'd want to be there. That's the right place to reveal the truth. Why? Because people like this, confused, angry idiots, end up backing your political campaign, and lo and behold, somebody becomes a president. Lo and behold, somebody becomes a president. Lo and behold, Boris Johnson becomes Prime Minister, and Nigel Farage is off spending his money. Like, they confuse the standard people, the normal people, to vote for them. It's political, and it's through the internet. And that's why I believe there's been a big rise in a lot of this sort of stuff. This anti-agenda, question the narrative, conspiracy stuff. It's all in the same, it's all on the same menu. It's all in the same ballpark. And if you're following this rabbit hole, eventually the wires cross at some point. And if you're confused enough to spend your days, picking through old photographs of France or old pictures of cups, then you're not keeping your eye on where the money's going at the top end and who's getting into power and why people are voting for them. You're not keeping an eye on how the political elites are motivating and confusing the masses. They make us hate the masses when we should hate the masters. Well, in the mirror, I'm a fucking transformer and now a leader. Join the struggle. Brothers and sisters with your body doubles getting slaughtered. It's time to stand up for your sons and daughters. That's what I think anyway. That's what I think. That's how I feel about it. Look into melted bricks, says Rudy and the Dogs. We did have an episode where we looked into melted buildings and it was a bit of a load of shit. I mean, you can melt a brick, but it doesn't mean that buildings were melted. Let's just scroll down here. Look, photos from Tomsk, the restaurant Slavic Bazaar, and the unexpected results of its repair. Windows in the ground, doors in the ground, and about 6 meters. What? It's almost as if they've got a basement level that used to have shallow windows, and you can tell they're different. Look, this is ridiculous. This is so ridiculous. You can tell they're the sort of basement windows designed to let light in, because you can see that the sill goes in by about a foot. Like, the depth of the window is very deep to allow that light and space for the light to come in. And in the past, there would have been a gap outside. It would have been built up to about halfway up the window, and there'd have been a space, and then the light would have come in. And then over the years, we've got electric lights, so they're not necessary anymore, those windows. We don't need those features to illuminate the interiors of our buildings. We've got many more, much more easily usable electric lighting. And so what they did was they started to just fuck off the windows, fill them in, brick it up, ground level, issues with damp anyway. And that's evidence of that. I can see the evidence of what I've described because I can see it there. I can see the different kinds of brickwork even where this would have been previously exposed and then they filled it in on top. I can see the depth and shape of the windows. I know there's a common aspect to to buildings because I know a little bit about buildings. My dad built a few, and I've been in a few. And I also know that if this was just discovered, hidden under the ground, then how would you have done your interior of your building and not noticed there was a fucking window on the wall? How would you have not noticed that? It can't have just been discovered. What, did they fill in the basement levels with concrete so you couldn't go in your basement? No, you can go in your basement. And then when you're in your basement, if that was previously ground level, let's say what they say, it's mud flooded and you dig out all the mud and now you're down to ground level. Where's the foundation for the building? Because you've just added on another floor to the building above ground. So that makes it even taller above ground. And the way buildings work is that you need foundations to hold the building from wobbling and falling out. You need foundations. So if you've now dug out what used to be, we considered the foundation, but some people say it was mud flooded. Now you haven't got a foundation layer. You need to go down and in deeper because your building's taller. More of it's exposed out top of the ground. It's taller now, you're saying. So you need to go deeper. Where's your foundation layers? And why are there no basements under the basements? You shouldn't just stop digging here. You should be able to keep digging and find further evidence of basement foundation layers. Because if you're not... You understand what I'm saying. Hello, Squirrel Sniper. Hello, Squirrel Sniper. Your cellar's been half filled by concrete. The previous owner told you that he did it. Well, they might do. You know, they might do, to be honest. Like, some people might do. Like I said, previous building, like not ancient but old brick, you do get some issues with like damp and sealing, like not sealing like the roof but seals, you know. So there's this Eskimo and he's out on his bike. Maybe this is racist against Eskimos actually. He's not an Eskimo, he's just a normal Alaskan. A normal Alaskan who happens to be very far north up in Greenland. He's a Greenlander. It's racist against Greenlanders. Fuck those Greenlanders. Fucking Greens. Send them back to Greenland. It's racist against Greenlanders. No one lives in Greenland anyway, do they? Look, Iceland. No one. They do live in Iceland. They do live in Iceland. It's Greenland. They called it Greenland so that they can attract more tourism and people because green sounding nice didn't work. Anyway, look. He's in Greenland, he's on his snowmobile. Come off the snowmobile. Oh, yeah, fucking hell. Something's wrong with it. Oh no, something's wrong with my snowmobile. I'm going to die in the snow if I can't start my snowmobile. So he's got an iPhone, and he's on the iPhone, and he's talking, hello? And he's talking to the mechanic back in the village, the town or wherever, of Anchorage, probably. Not Alaska, we're not racist against Alaskans. Talking to the, he's like, oh, it's not working, look, it's not working. And the guy on the phone goes, show me the engine. And so he's there with the phone. There it is. What's wrong with it? Look. And he's like, what's wrong with it? I'm bloody freezing here. I'm bloody freezing. And the guy says to him, it looks like you've blown a seal. And he goes, no, it's just frost on my moustache. So, anyway, windows in the ground. And again, photos from Tomsk, the restaurant Slavic Bazaar, and the unexpected results of its repair. I mean, I don't know if that's what that is. Can you guarantee me? There's a little watermark sort of S. Bakanov 2001 there. www.oneman.ru/photo. Like, I don't know. Is it? Is it though? You've said it is. You've said it is. Now, the question that I have, 5 retweets, 50 likes, who looks at that and goes, oh, it definitely is then, yeah, he said it is, they said it is, she said it is, they, I don't know if it's he or she. Photos from Tomsk, I mean, they said it is, so I trust them. I trust them. Definitely trust them. Because they constantly post up a load of conjecture and they're not allowed to say, like, this one's a great one, the devil is in the detail, wireless old world technology. It doesn't say, in the past there was a mud flood and a reset and they used to have free energy out of the air. It doesn't say that. It doesn't say that. What it says is the devil's in the detail, wireless old world technology. And the reason it says that is because it wants people to question and to think these Tartaria thoughts. But if you say this is wireless old technology and Tartaria and resets and mud floods, you get binned off Twitter because it's bullshit. So they're careful now. And it's helpful to them as well. What's really helpful to them is they can just say any old shit. Oh, maybe bit of conjecture, bit of conjecture, and you know they don't even have to think about their tweets anymore. It's an old photo, maybe X, Y, Z. Now there's a problem in what they're showing you here. Again, remember these tweets are coming up live as we're watching this Twitter, so I've not seen this before, but it's obvious to me. See this fella down here in the left? You can't because the chat's in the way. King Snow Gergelson says the world's highly unstable, dangerous, and ever changing. Someone has to retain the knowledge of past events, otherwise it might be kept from keeping. Yeah, but I mean, is it possible though, right? That with as many of us as there are, and the amount of sharing of information. I mean, that's what the internet's for. That's why we're all on it. That's what we're doing. That's what I'm doing here now. That's what I'm trying to do here now. Is make sure that the common knowledge, the truth, is maintained and not coloured by all this bullshit. But some people say this bullshit is the truth. And this is the back and forth that we're having, isn't it? And my argument to you is that this doesn't serve you, and that it actually does serve Donald Trump. It actually does serve Boris Johnson or Liz Truss. Because people, I mean, I don't know about the demographics. We would have to do some serious investigation into the demographics. But I can tell you my uncle, who is not a Labour voter, much more conservative, I would think. He's made his money by being an architect, and he actually had properties, which he's consolidated recently, and his daughters run a business in Birmingham, and it's enough detail anyway. Point being, he's into a lot of Donald Trump nonsense on the internet. He's on about all these children getting eaten for their adrenochrome, right? And he doesn't have any, he's not in that world. He's like a 78-year-old, 80-year-old man who's using the internet, and he's being confused by the 20-somethings pumping out all the shit for Donald Trump on the internet. He's not internet savvy. So when he's on certain websites, he does know, he's smart enough, but he's not seeing the wood for the trees. And I'm arguing that someone like him would have been maybe more, he's easier to lead now. And this also, I don't know about the demographic, right? I don't know about the demographic, but I would argue that a lot of these people that are into this Tartaria and the mudfloods and the resets, certainly the ones I've seen on YouTube making the videos, are on the side of the coin where, like me, we're working from day to day to pay our bills, to survive. I would love it if I could afford a bit more so I could go on a bit of a holiday, or a bit more so I don't have to worry about the energy bills coming up this winter. That's the situation I'm in. I'm a normal person. Yeah? Whereas those normal people used to, as a group, if they were going to be motivated, imagine you going on Twitter to have a big row with someone. The things they would row about used to be political, and there wasn't Twitter back in the day. Remember Scargill and the miners? You don't. Some people in my chat will remember Scargill and the miners. I'm not talking about little kids. I'm talking about miners digging up coal. Now I don't remember it because it was just a little bit before my time, but I do remember the fallout, the after effect, the shape of the world that I was born into, and the way things worked through the 80s. And it was all blamed on a load of this. It was all, a lot of it. But these working class people had their eyes on the ball. They were worried about how their lives were being shaped politically by the political elites, and what their jobs were going to be, and what they might have been on, we can have different conversations. I don't think you should want to be in the coal pit, to be honest. I think you should rather your children had an education and were able to work in a service sector. I honestly think that. But these people are then on the real world shape of the world today, back then, right? Working class people all would have been talking about it. Other ways to dilute that, to negate a sense of political strength from the working class, other ways to negate it. What can we do to, that's just an example of that was just one example of the miners' strike, yeah? But the working class, the normal people, us, we're supposed to be the ones with the power that vote. I mean, not just working class these days, middle class. You watch all the middle class families fall into the same difficulties as every other working class family these days, as energy bills go up and all this shit. So what we're saying is, normal people, because I'm not like when I'm talking about working class as well, there used to be a divide in our country between a more clear divide, social classes, and now it's ironed out. But I'm not from the worst end of the tracks. I'm not from the worst end of the sticks. I didn't grow up in total poverty. More and more people do these days. But I'm just going to say anyone that's like, you know, not elites, the normal people, yeah? Like, us being powerful together is an important factor of politics. And you can have two sides. You can have socialism versus free market laissez-faire economics, maybe. You know, you can have different sides of a debate. But what's even better for the political elites is to completely divide and confuse. I'll tell you what really helps. Honestly, I'll tell you what really helps. Bit of the old football. You know, people have got more of an opinion on who should be kicking the old football than they have. I mean, I love football, don't get me wrong. There's a lot of positives in sport, don't get me wrong. But, you know, are we arguing over who's better in Man United and Liverpool instead of coming together as Manchester and Liverpool to change the world? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, division. It's not always good, is it? So, football, yeah, but what about the people who are actually political? You know, what about the people who are actually political? Well, all this shit taps into them, doesn't it? Like, honestly, I just think it's more likely that this would be pumped out by people with political agendas deep down, and that you could pay people to do it in marketing companies. And once you infect enough people in the real world, then those real world people become your ambassadors in much the way influencers work for companies. You know, you don't have to spend money making people, you just get the ideas out there flowing. And, you know, I really honestly think you should question that narrative, shouldn't you? You know, you should question that narrative. Interesting stuff going on in chat that I'm not covering, but it's all there on the screen. Bring back Wenger. He's gone forever. The world moves on, but Man United will never recover from the Ferguson legacy, will they either? So I say recover. I mean, what I mean is that it's but like I'm of the just quickly on football now. Just quickly, I'm of the belief that you should have longer term, like. This here one day, gone the next, you know, 2 seasons you're out. The reason Wenger and Ferguson were both successful is because they were given the helm for a long period of time. And whilst it didn't take off in the first season, once they got that momentum going, and you know, even through the difficult times, a bit of support helps, doesn't it? Yeah, I'm of that opinion, but don't get me on football now. Do you think Marx would have wrote his little book if he'd seen the future events that sprang from it? Probably, yeah, even more so, with even more... you know, I don't know Marx personally, but even more controversial things in it, because he'd have been so enthused by his impact on the world, yeah? I think he'd have been disappointed he wasn't the dominant, you know, thought leader now, but, you know, it's... there's a lot of ego in that man. I mean, he was responsible for the murder of lots of people as well, wasn't he? So, yeah, so anyway, this picture, going back to this picture. Who's trying to convince me of what here? The devil's in the detail. Wireless old world technology, it says. Right, let me tell you something. You see this thing here standing up? It's got all these little nodules on it. That's wires. And it's all attached to next down the line. There's more wires. And you see this man here? You see how he's blurred? You can't see him properly because he's blurry. Because this was taken with a bit of a long shutter speed compared to how fast he was moving. You can see the steam is captured even. But that steam's a bit of a misty blur. So this train stationary, the steam is puffing up, and it's a bit of a long shutter speed. Anyone that's standing still is pictured. Anyone that's moving start to blur. The steam is blurry, the man is blurry. These wires hanging in the air that you can faintly see, and you can faintly see them. They're hanging in the air, they're moving slightly, they're probably wobbling a bit. They're hard to see anyway against the white background. The photography's not particularly sharp in this day and age. And there are wires. They're just... It's an artifact of photography that you can see them under tension here, connecting up to these nodules. So this says, the devil is in the detail, wireless old world technology. The detail is that there are wires. Who's the devil here? Who's telling you shit and confusing you for what reason? This is not wireless old world technology. This is the steam age ending. This is the Industrial Revolution. There are tracks on the ground made of metals. There are wires connected up to these pylons. There's no wireless technology driving the trains. There's even a steam train in the shot. I mean, that is wireless technology, but it's steam, coal-powered. On the road, there's a tram. Can't make out whether it's connected to what, how, where, but there's a tram. There's a horse-drawn cart, and there appears to be some sort of, like, is that horse-drawn, or is it a motor vehicle? There's a few horse-drawn carts. There's more carts than anything. That's old-school wireless technology. Horse-drawn carts. What are you saying? And someone's got here, in the reply, Japan, a Tokyo street scene, 1905. A Manchester United football ground, 1935. Wires visible. It must be the original photo resolution scan problem. Yeah, it's clearly a photograph, like a much more detailed image, much clearer image, wires. And they put pointers to the wires. They're not wires, they're pointers to the wires. So much clearer. And you'd also ask the question, wouldn't you? Why on earth would you have fucking pylons if you didn't have wires? Goes back to the Tartaria episode that we did about, if you go on our YouTube channel, which you are watching right now, you can go to YouTube, my channel, your channel, our channel, the channel, and you can go to search, you go videos, and you go search, and just do Tesla, like that. And then Tesla Tartaria Free Energy, we did a big episode on it, looked into it a lot. I know all about it now. The idea that you could be conducting electricity out of the sky and then down, it's a silly idea. Tesla and his coils required a huge energy source in order to conduct their electricity, and he was working on a way of conducting electricity wirelessly out. We have it now. It's how you charge your phone wirelessly. It's how you charge your iWatch wirelessly. It's a magnet. It's a coiled wire, and that creates a magnetic, like the electricity going through the wire, the coil, the copper, creates an electromagnetic field, and that electromagnetic field will act on another coil of copper wire next to it. They don't have to touch. It's the magnetic fields that interact, and that causes the electrical flow in the other. So you can conduct electricity through the air. You can totally do that. Doesn't mean there's free electricity in the atmosphere that we can suck in. Like, you can see that because of lightning strikes. That's electricity building up in clouds. So if there was electricity in the atmosphere, when lightning strikes, all of it would start to discharge in a big, continual circuit. That's exactly what lightning strike is. It's just there's not enough electricity in the atmosphere to keep it going. There's not. It happens very quickly when the clouds build up and pressure and friction, and then boom, enough static is built up and boom. And what Tesla was trying to do, was get an electric shock from the sky, a lightning strike, all the way down one of his coil setups into the groundwater of the earth. And he thought if you could get a strong enough electric signal into the groundwater of the earth, you might be able to kickstart a current, or to resonate with the earth's natural resonance, electromagnetic resonance, which is at such a low frequency that you can't use it for anything. We use things like radio waves to transmit radio, and you can actually, with a transmitter these days, suck radio waves out of the air and use them to power up a battery. It would do maybe a watch battery or the clock on your oven. But you could do it. Those low frequency waves do have energy in them. We pump out energy into the atmosphere through these waves, and you can receive it and turn it into energy. It's just not enough to do anything useful with. But having said that, if you could make the Earth's magnetic resonance increase, if you could create like a resonance chamber, which the Earth kind of is, that's why we have this resonance, this Schumann resonance, is because there's an atmosphere, an upper atmosphere, and a resonance happening. So we already have that, and it's not enough. Again, it's not enough. You need to condense that resonance to create electromagnetic resonance to the force that you would require to pump a big circuit, and then to be able to project that energy out to power things. An awful lot of energy is required, and that's why Tesla and what he was doing, it required an awful lot of fucking energy. And lo and behold, Tesla's his station, his tower, the Wardenclyffe Tower, let me make sure I'm getting that right. Wardenclyffe, yeah, the Wardenclyffe Tower. Sorry, in my brain I was spelling it with an I, not a Y. But the Wardenclyffe Tower was designed to project the energy out so that you could then walk past with your receiver and receive it, and not to produce energy out of the atmosphere That wasn't what it was. He had a huge, huge power station, you know, pumping out energy in that building in order to pump out the energy. He was providing it himself through coal energy generators, you know, coal energy generators. They were burning it. He was providing his own energy. It wasn't free. And the reason he was doing it was because the people that were funding him, they were energy companies. There were energy companies and they were making coal power in coal factories. And there were people all over the country who were just starting to say, I want a light. I'd like light switches, please. And this new electricity thing could really help us. No, it's not new, but you know, this electricity idea that we could all use it would really help us. Here's some money, Tesla. Work out for me. I've got the factory and I'm making the energy. Work out how I can get it into people's homes, please. Do me a bit of technical wizardry. You know, work on that. I'll come back to you in 6 months. What have you got for me? Well, I can do it free out of the air. No, that's no good, Nicola. I don't want it free through the air. I want to charge people for it. What the fuck are you wasting my money for? Stop doing it and I'm not giving you any more money. That's what happened there. And the people that were able to transmit the energy through wires were able to charge for it because they had meters on the end of the wires. And that's what they wanted. They wanted a system where you pay for your electricity. So Tesla's ideas, although they worked, you can transmit electricity electromagnetically through the air with a great big tower if you've got enough electricity being generated in your generator to pump it out. They're not economically viable in our system, so they were scrapped. Until today, when watch charging and phone charging and other such things, you know, it might be useful to use a bit of it, so now they're using a bit of it. But you've still got an electricity meter on your house and you're still going to pay through the nose for it. And it's not because of free energy in the atmosphere. I've explained it all and now it all makes sense, what he was doing, why it looks like, because to some people that might look like a TV. I've got an antenna on my roof. It sucks in the radio waves and it does the telly for me. That looks like a really big antenna. What's that for? Sucking in electricity, you know. But no, and the higher you go, the increased electrostatic, but it's it's already all measured and factored in. When the lightning bolts happen, that would connect. There'd be a very, that is what, you know, that's higher up than that would be like, oh look, there's a great big electro thing going here and I'm electrostatic, I'll connect. And it's not enough. And I don't know enough about the atmosphere to be able to judge that necessarily, Squirrel Sniper, but you have to boost it. Yeah, look, King Stel Gergson is saying there, the voltage in the atmosphere increases, and it's very low amperage, so you need to work out how to boost it. That's yeah, agreed. You need to boost it. And the way you boost it is by creating resonance chambers, not by sucking it out the air with a great big antenna. Like, boosting it is very, very difficult, in fact. Like, it's the basics of electric currents, and that's why you can take electricity that's a very strong, powerful electricity and send it down wires by changing the voltage through transmitters. And that's why over somewhere on our street somewhere we'll have an electric box with the transmitters in, because the electricity that's coming in there is a bit fucking powerful, and the one that comes into our homes has been changed through a process of transition through different coils of wire. The more coils, the changes the strength of the current, I think, something like that. So all these things are clever ideas, and I'll agree with what you're saying. Flowing water creates static electricity, yes, but if we're talking the amount of power that's required to like power a television, then you're fucked, because you're going to need a lake and a copper pipe the size of a fucking house. Like, what was going on here was to try and transmit electricity. They had to have power stations to transmit it. So now that because I know what happened, I've told you it all there, I've told you it. It's not the case that we were going to be sucking electricity out of the atmosphere. It's not. And one of the things that you can really, really help you to, you know, picture that in your mind is that when the atmosphere discharges the electrical charge within it, it happens as lightning strikes. And there's not enough even within the atmosphere naturally to, like, that happens in seconds. They flash, they're out. It's discharged, it's gone. Like the continuation of a circuit, not possible. Not possible. I'm correct by going through current knowledge, excuse me, yeah, I get it, but it could be different knowledge, yeah. But Tesla wasn't party to any ancient knowledge. Tesla was trying to work things out, and this is how he worked it out, and that's why we know what I know. Like, there was no, like, and also what's contradictory is that Tesla's designs featured spheres and circles, and the things that we accuse ancient Tartaria of being, like, that's a square. with like funny shapes here. It's not. That's designed to look pretty and to pass wires through it. It's not designed to receive electricity. And Blackpool Tower is not designed with a circular dome at the top. So even if they were going to be sucking stuff out of the atmosphere, the things that we'd point out and say that's their shape's wrong, and they're made out of the wrong materials, and like there's all sorts of issues with it as a, just as an idea even, but it doesn't hold water scientifically, and I've been through it all. So the devil's in the detail. Wireless old technology, or what you could say here is this is a fucking standard photograph, probably from England, probably in the 1830s, and there's nothing unexplainable about it. Everything is normal. We've got lots more photographs like it. And why? So my next question is, why are you, Tartarian Antiquity, posting that on the internet every fucking 15 minutes? What's your agenda? Question the narrative. Remember, you're gonna, another reset coming my way. People have talked politically about resets recently because language. You reset so many things, don't you? You reset your computer, reboot, restart. Politically, they're changing hands every fucking 5 minutes, aren't they? The reds are in, then the blues are in, then they're swapping over. So every time they want to reset the policies, like there's all sorts of reasons to use that language. It doesn't, and then people have said, oh, Justin Trudeau said the word reset, so now it's proof. Like, it's not fucking proof of anything. If anything, if they were doing that, then they wouldn't have Justin Trudeau stating like, these ideas have come up, like I said, and I'll stick to my guns on that, through, all this questioning the narrative that doesn't question the actual narrative. Because the actual narrative is that Donald Trump became president. Like, that's what actually happened. How did that happen? With all this fucking social media bullshit. Who voted for him in great droves to get him elected? People who normally would either be politically apolitical or have become disenfranchised, either with the party they used to vote for, the Republicans, he brought people back into the fold, or disenfranchised with the Democrats for not achieving the things that they hoped that a left-wing government would. He scraped up all those people, and how did he do it? With all conspiracy bullshit pumped out on the internet. How did he get that pumped out on the internet? He fucking paid for it to happen. Why did they pump it out on 4chan? Because that's the target audience. So now we've got that going on as a general, thing going on in the world. Idiots like Jade pick up on it, and she was an idiot, wasn't she, that Jade? She picks up on it and thinks, oh, I'm interested in this. I'll make a YouTube channel. Oh, look, I'm getting $200 a month off this. Oh, I'll keep doing it. Like, they're not interested in you. And like, Jade needed a grift. Martin Leaker needs a grift. They're poor people like myself, normal people like myself who, next year we're not sure exactly how we're going to pay the bills because the bills are going to go up and things are getting tough. Like, they're on the grift. And then they're on a grift. Donald Trump's on a grift. They're all on a grift. Question the fucking narrative, right? Question who's putting this shit out and why. Are they trying to teach you the truths of the world so that you can become enlightened? And if so, what's the next step? Where are you going with that enlightenment? What are you doing with your life? And why? What's the next step? I don't see any other step other than politically motivated to be either apolitical or disenfranchised, leading you into a politician's grasp because you don't understand politics. Like, they're the people they want. Remember at the start, have you ever been on a dream where you're going through so many corridors, you're confused? It's a Nigerian prince scam. Get into politics. How do you get people into politics but keep them oblivious of politics? How are people voting for Donald Trump because they thought they were voting against a political elite? How many people voted against David Cameron and voted for Brexit because they were voting against the political elite? It was what the political elite wanted. Can't you? Boris Johnson's laughing. Donald Trump is laughing at you. And I think that bleeds out then into like a wider thing. It bleeds out into a wider thing. So this is one of my least favourite tweeters on Twitter. One of my least favourites. I don't see how Twitter allows this anyway. You know? I suppose what they've done is they've not really lied and said a load of shit, but they kind of have, haven't they? They kind of have. Kind of. Let's just finish on this one for a little bit, because it's the same people, remember, who are doing Tartaria and are doing resets. It's the same people, right? And this even backs up my point even more. Just being a little detective on my own, questioning the narrative myself. Who's producing this? Maybe people who are into Jesus and the Bible. Because they're saying things that happened in the Bible are true. After Noah, people got smaller. Noah lived to 800 years old. There's no evolution. Evolution's a lie. They're all the same money. It's the same money. Look. That's where your ideas are coming from. Tartaria's got a basis in a pseudo-Christian conspiracy theory. These people might have an anti-Jewish agenda. These people might be the right-wing American evangelical right-wing lobby youth movement. Can I get this up? Maybe just with my how conservatives co-op to Christianity. There's a lot here. Thank God for Trump. Look, QAnon believers are evangelical Christians. Evangelical Christians in America have a lot of money, and they put a lot of money. You've got a problem with abortion rights, haven't you? Because of this. Abortion rights in America. I'm not making a comment on abortion rights in America. I'm a man in England, so I'm not going to have an abortion in America. But a woman in America, I'd listen to what women in America have to say about it. If I want to know about abortion rights in America, I think I should listen to women in America. But actually, the people that are being listened to are the conservative right-wing evangelical Christians. And how have they got power? Because they paid so that they could get political power. How do they do that? They lobby and they pay, and they become the people behind the right-wing agenda. And what are they doing? They're behind the scenes, questioning the narrative, pumping out bullshit into the mainstream so that people are confused and disoriented. And some of the ideas are about Tartaria and reset. And in amongst it is all this Bible shit as well. You might not believe the Bible shit. You might not. Oh, apparently that just appeared in your comment. Maybe you Control V, maybe you Control C, Control V, or I don't know. I'm not doing anything weird with the comments again, but maybe we've been hacked. But bear in mind, you know, that is, you can't, like, this is here me showing you the fact. In amongst it there, Bible shit. Conspiracy ideas from the Bible. In amongst it there. There was a really good documentary I saw, and I haven't got access to it right now, and it would probably do us the copyright, but there was a really good documentary I saw, not on YouTube, but there's an American group, and what they do is they take young lads out of university, Christians, and they believe that women should be in the home, and men should be doing the work, and like women seen and not heard, and all this. They're evangelical right-wings, and they're in Washington, and they produce these, you know, right-wing religious, like they give you a free ride. You're an evangelical Christian, you can come and live in our nice big house. You've got to be a bit posh and have gone to one of those posh schools and the posh universities. You know, it's one of these sort of things. And then you're into there, and then you become a politician. They groom you to become a politician. You start off with like a job in Washington as a helper to some of these politicians, and then you become a politician yourself. You know, you go through the system. So it's a sort of white evangelical Christian right-wing finishing school for young men to become politicians, and the women have a role. They get to marry the men. That actually happens in America. I haven't got any visuals of it here. It's a documentary I saw on the BBC. So I know this goes on, and they produce these people who they want therefore to be the particular political elites. And Donald Trump, whilst he wasn't of them, he did co-opt them. No, he did ask them to be on his side, and he agreed with their ideas and put people on the judging senates and all that. Well, not senate, you know what I mean, the judges from the right wing. And now you've got no abortions because of religious reasons. So I'm not here to discuss abortion on this. So I'm sorry if you're, sounds bad to have gone through what you've gone through there, historian. I'm not here to comment on it because I can't, because I'm not a man because I am a man and I'm not going to have do you know what I mean? That's my feeling anyway. You can tell me I'm right or wrong, but whatever, that's my feeling. But I think you can follow my chain of thought here, can't you? Now, when we're talking about question the narrative, who should you believe, right? Should you believe someone you don't know on the internet who's posting up random pictures and asking questions? Or should you believe me, who's not random? I'll show you my face, here I am. You can follow my backstory. I'll tell it you. You know my history. I've got other YouTube channels from before, and I'm here out of the goodness of my heart because I worry about people. Yeah, I've got a political angle. I think we should be against, like I said, they're making us hate the masses when we should hate the masters. I think we, the people, should have a much easier life because we're in the modern world now. When they were fighting to miners' strikes and, when they were in the 1800s and going through all of this and building the world, now we've built it. And now things should be cheaper and food should be easier to come by. And all these new technologies should make products cheaper, not more and more expensive every year, not more and more bills every year, not more and more expensive, but cheaper and cheaper. And we should be reaping the benefits of a modern society, shouldn't we? But we're not. We're struggling just as hard as ever. So, and I think there are some people out there who are making hay off our hard toil and are not struggling as hard as ever, who are laughing at us. So, I think there's a reason for all this. And yeah, my feelings are slightly political, but also I care that people, because I've got an uncle who's been down this rabbit hole. I'm sure we all know someone who's been dragged down these rabbit holes. I think that they're good people with smart ideas, the people that get dragged down the rabbit holes. I think they're critical thinkers who can question the narrative. And because they're doing that, the political elites are worried about them and they send them down these fucking rabbit holes, and these people end up getting lost. And they're actually the people who we should be, teaming up with and making a difference within the world. So I think people are good and they're being confused by bad actors, and so I don't like these bad actors and I don't trust these people. So I'm here on the internet questioning the narrative, questioning their narrative, questioning Trump's narrative, questioning where it comes from, not just what it says. I'm not just questioning whether this is how you question the narrative. You don't just question whether this goblet was really made in Rome or whether it was made by an ancient alien. You question who is telling you the information, why are they telling you the information and for what reason. Question the narrative, question the motivations for the narrative, and you might find different answers. You might have different answers than you first thought. That's my reading on it, that's my take down the rabbit hole. So there's a lot of interesting stuff in chat as well, which it's hard for me to follow it all and bring it all out as part of my little impassioned speech there, but interesting questions. And that's what I'm saying is you ask these good questions, but at some point as well, you can lie down and look at the sky and ask infinite questions, but eventually you have to get up and find your lunch. Like whether you're going to be foraging in the woods or whether you're going to be affording a tin of beans, or whether we're going to fight together to bring down the cost of beans. Like it's all relative to what you're doing in your life, where you put your energy, not free energy out of the sun. I mean, here's another joke as well. Here's another big joke, is that we do get free energy, don't we, out of the sun? Like we do. Like we get free energy from the sun. Like that's free energy. It heats my bones. Through it, I can gather materials like building materials like wood, or I eat lots of vegetables and fruits. They're grown through the energy of the sun. That's my free energy that I put in my body. And then it's not free, I have to pay for it, but we've got an allotment and we've got some planters in the back. So some of it is free, closer to paying less for it, basically. And I eat these things and they provide me with energy. And then I'm energized to do things. I think I should try and go out in the world and help reach people with ideas, help link people's hands together so that we can come together and move forward as, good people. That's me in formal films. I make media, bringing people ideas. I'm not, I used to think that I'd be, at this point, I thought I'd be making documentaries rather than streams. But life has taken, like we all know, life has taken some funny turns over the last few years. Jesus. I ended up becoming a carer for my nan instead of a documentarian. I didn't manage to release my last film. I put it out, not for free on YouTube, but you can see the full draft. If you go here, you can go to, if you just type indie into our channel here. I was on the Eddie Strongman documentary team. I was the associate producer of Eddie Strongman, and I did camera work and sound work for a film about a strongman, big strongman who went on to become the world's strongest man. And that went on Netflix, so that was a great success. And then I took some of the money that I'd made and I made this film, which was about independent game producers out in the forests of Sweden. And so this is a film that I made, and then I sat at home and edited it for about a year, and then I didn't manage to get it released or sold or anything like that, because I don't know anyone in the industry. The people I knew, I was on a two-man team on this project, and the other person fucked off and did something else, and so I was like, I don't know what to do now. So I've got a film that I made, and there it is. Like, I'm a media producer, and then there was a COVID all of a sudden, and before I could say I'm going to have a really good year this year and get this film sold, instead I had to stay at home and nurse my nan. So like, life really changed. So like, I don't know, I'm not some big special person. I'm just a human being making independent media, and I'm trying to reach people with ideas. The point of this film, like, Eddie Strongman wasn't my choice. Someone else was making my other partner in crime was making this film about Eddie Strongman. They said, do you want to come and help out? I was like, yeah, absolutely. And I asked some pertinent questions. All of Eddie Strongman talking about narcissism, I asked those questions. I sat down and got him talking about certain aspects. When he cried about his grandma, I asked some of those questions. Like little human things that I bring to the table, because you've seen how I am. I was proud to put some of my feelings into that, and through the edit, how it came out, I thought it was pretty good, that film. It wasn't some expose, and it wasn't some life-changing, humanitarian work, but it was pretty good, that film. I was lucky to be part of it. Very grateful. And then this that I made is a love letter to art creation and video games, and it features people that I wanted to show a diverse cast of characters, showing modern values and ideas, and talking about art and how, it meant a lot to me to be able to play video games when I was growing up, and it meant a lot to these people too, and they went on to make the games that are now in the shops. Some of them, we've got people from Candy Crush, we've got people from Nintendo, we've got this guy's got a game on the Xbox, you can get it on your phone now, I think. Like, they're all legitimate people, and I went out there, made a film about what they were doing, so I wanted to talk, share this love. So me as a media producer, what I'm doing today is not coming from some shill. I'm not making the money off my stuff yet. I'm not some shill. I'm doing it for the love. Yeah, I'm doing it for the love. So I'm at Informal Films. I'm verifiable. Whereas this Tartarian antiquity, I think they're doing it to confuse you and send you down a rabbit hole, and the people who benefit are either selling books, making YouTube videos, or even more sinister, what could be happening at a deeper level is polluting the thoughts of the population with nonsense, so they're not able to become politically represented and to change the world in ways that would benefit us, the people, because the people that obviously are not, changing the world, that, all this. Talk about the energy prices recently. I keep coming back to it. It's not a big politics thing now, but like the energy prices, it's no good for them to give me some money to help pay my energy bill, because who's getting that money? Now, it doesn't help me. It helps me in the short term to cover that energy bill. And both Liz Truss and Richie Sunak, we're going to help people cut taxes, we're going to do this. No, you should be fucking sorting out the problem with the price of the energy. You should be sorting out the fact we haven't got abundant green energy producers in our country yet, like you promised us 10 years ago. Where's the 40 hospitals? Like, fucking hell, nothing gets done. And like, everything gets cut. If you cut taxes, we'll have less money to give to the police. My pension will end up less. I'll have worse hospital treatment. I don't want you to cut the taxes. I'm all right with that. It's the energy bill I don't want to pay. Anyway, you see where I'm coming from. So I'm a normal person like you, and I've not followed this down the rabbit hole and ended up, lost and confused, I don't think. Is this Greece? No, it's actually Libya. Is it? You've got no confirmation for me. And it's someone else's photo you've ripped off and put here. And what do you mean? These days, you can't even state your opinions clearly on Twitter, but you're there just to, lead people. This is like the breadcrumbs that lead you into the woods, and then you're Hansel and Gretel and you're lost. You're lost. Does it serve you? I want you to ask yourself this when you're going through these conspiracy things. Any of you in chat here specifically as well that have been on this for a long, like Squirrel Sniper is probably a good example, because like not picking on anyone, but I know you've been around this scene for a while. Actually, a lot of you here have, haven't you? I know you've been around this scene for a while. So has it served you? This is a fair question from me to you. Has it benefited your life? Has it helped you pay your bills? Are you in a better position now than you were when you first discovered it? Have you made more friends? Maybe you have, because, internet connections. Has it alienated you from some of your peers that you used to love and spend time with before? Because Brexit did that for me. There are some of my friends that I'm now not really friends with. And there are some of my friends, because of COVID, that I'm not really friends with. I saw how they behaved while I was at home looking after my nan, and they were out, round someone's house having a drink. So some people aren't really, we're not seeing eye to eye on this. Is this one of those things for you? No friends, lots of haters, sadly. So, what I'm saying is, if you put this on a graph, like if I've got a hobby, if my hobby is, let's invent a new hobby. What's my new hobby? Sun spotting. I'm a sun spotter. It's a rubbish hobby. Let's do football instead because everyone understands it. Or what does everyone else understand? Let's just do hockey. If I do hockey, everyone knows what hockey is, right? I get involved in hockey. That's my new hobby. I start learning about hockey. I start following hockey on Twitter. I start, going down the hockey rabbit hole. Does it serve me? Well, I actually get out of the house and I start going to hockey events. I make new friends. I end up playing hockey. It's good for me to be out there running about once a week. It's healthy. I speak to a cross-section of society who are into hockey. So we've got different ideas maybe in the pub afterwards, but I meet people and I'm out there talking to society. Hockey's good for me. Yeah, net win. Oh, I spend some money. Oh, I spend some time. Oh yeah, I do. So maybe that goes on the negative column, maybe, because I need the money and the time to do other things. I enjoy it. That goes on the positive. Make your columns. Net win, net loss. Hockey, good for you, bad for you. I don't play hockey, but, do the same thing. Make yourself a little, honestly, please, make yourself a little list. What do I gain from this? How am I suffering? How is it damaging me? Not, make your own topic there. It doesn't have to be damaging or suffering, but what are the negatives? How have I lost out from this? And then what about another list? Who else has benefited? Has anyone else benefited? Has anyone else lost out? The people that you used to be friends with, that you're now not friends with, they're missing out on your company. Your family members are missing out on your wit and personality because you're now curmudgeonly and angry about the past. Does the past matter that much to you? Does this matter that much to you? How much of your pie chart of your life should you devote to doing this? Like, my life is limited. I'm going to stop this in a minute, this stream, this 2-hour stream, because I want to go and walk the dog. My life is limited. So how much of it should I spend doing this? I mean, that's a question I ask myself all the time as a content creator. The person who's making this Twitter, I don't know if it's one person, but they seem to have enough time to tweet every fucking 12 minutes. Like, they're spending a lot of time on it. They're asking for money. I don't know much else about them. How much of it is benefiting you on your pie chart of your life? And if you took that piece of pie out and replaced it with hockey, would it be better? Would it be worse? If you took that piece of pie out and replaced it with something else, is there anything else in life you'd rather do? Maybe you could fucking go to Libya, and look at these things instead of being down the rabbit hole. I don't know. Maybe you want to go down this rabbit hole so hard you want to start a YouTube channel. That might be part of your life. That might be on your list. I don't know. Does that serve you? It'd probably serve you better than just being down the rabbit hole, because at least you get some money out of it. And that's where I think some of these YouTubers come in. Might even be people who are convinced and confused themselves. There's lots of interesting stuff in the past. Oh, I didn't know they had ceramic pipes in China. I mean, they might or they might not. I don't know what this is really, this photograph, because there's no verification. But, you know, there are things I don't know. There are unknown unknowns. Not everything has to be some weird conspiracy, though, unless you're coming from the world of weird conspiracies. And that is, remember, you know, the world of weird conspiracies. Now everything has to be a weird conspiracy. Now, you know, it's not the case that my fucking bread is white because grains are ground and, you know, no, white bread represents white fascism. Or, like, you know, I saw a fucking... everything has to be conspiracy in some people's world. It's their first answer for everything. So some people see a picture of these pipes and it's conspiracy. Might just be pipes, mate. Might just be pipes. Might not even matter what the fucking pipes are, mightn't it? Might not even fucking matter. Because I've got to pay my bills. I'm struggling. I'm not struggling too bad. I'm really lucky. I live in abject luxury in the UK. I've got electricity. I've got heating. It's going to cost me a lot, but I've got it. You know, my house wasn't blown up by Vladimir Putin in the recent war. I'm lucky, okay? So I feel really grateful. I'm happy you're here. What I'm trying to build towards, if I can, is subscriber goal. Press like on this video. Hit the subscriber. Yeah, I want to get 500 to open up community aspects, 1,000 to open up monetization. I want to be able to monetize my content so that I can make some money off producing content. And when I can make a bit of money off it, I can increase the quality of it, and we can discuss ideas till the cows come home. That's where I'm at. Thank you for being here. I thank you for being here. I might come back on YouTube, on Twitter later, sorry, on Twitch to do some Mental Health Monday, but Mental Health Monday's taken a bit of a back burner for a little bit while we're like getting ideas together about where to go with it. But I just thank you for being here. I have got a tip me at coffee.com/Ganji thing, but I actually just thank you for being here. You know, it's the interaction and the, what do they call it? It's not interaction, there's a word for it they have. Engagement, isn't it? Engagement is good. Engagement. Why do we all have to speak in marketing speak these days? It's just nice that you're here. All right. So you be good, my little podcast. You be good. And do you know what I do? I sometimes edit these and sometimes I watch them through later when I'm having a bit of a smoke upstairs, you know, to check my own work. And I'll read your comments. They're recorded here. So if you've got anything you want to put in the big comments underneath the video and you want me to see and come back to, absolutely do. I do check them. I'm not going to reply to all of them. I won't be able to make a video out of everything, but I do find it interesting, and I'm interested in your thoughts too. And at no point, remember this, I'm not saying, oh, fuck you, you're an idiot. Oh, fuck you, you know, we should have a row. I think we're on the same team. We might not have the same ideas about things, but I think we're on the same team. That's important to me. So if anything, I'm here to try and, like, you know, put my arms around people, help them along, do good things. We're going to do Words on Stream on Wednesday, our charity word stream. I'm still looking for a different game to play together. I found a couple of different ones that we could look at, but Words is still my current go-to. But yeah, like, you know, I'm here doing it, showing you, you know, being real. So hopefully that comes across. Yeah, you be good, my little podcast, remember. And if you can't be good, you're naughty.